Hey, April.
Guys, hi Netta.
Nita.
Sorry, Nita.
Okay, I just keep correcting you and you'll get it.
You're right. It's a single consonant. Of course it's Nita.
It's like, it's always hard because you never know whether to correct people or not. But I'm going to be around you guys enough that I figure you need to have it right. So,
Absolutely.
not
No,
mean to be offensive or snotty, just
no, absolutely. I'm an English teacher. I should know. Single consonant. Absolutely, Nita. Hi, Jonathan.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, John. I'm working on a jigsaw puzzle.
well, that's I'm working on a project. It might as well be a jigsaw puzzle. It's actually I'm putting away one that I'm working on. This is parts of a box. I'm making card storage box, the drawers for a box for my husband. And I've got the other part just glued together here
Cool.
today.
I'm gonna dim
Um,
this window shade behind me.
so so then while that's glue's drying, I'm gonna work on this other thing, which is a great big giant dice tower
Dice
inspired
tower.
by Lord of the Rings.
Oh, very cool. I don't know.
Uh,
I was mowing the lawn earlier and then it rained me out. So,
yeah, I did that yesterday before it rained. Ours was growing up quite a bit. Yeah, I can't get a break from the rain.
yeah.
It's terrible. I can't get in the garden. I can't. I've got grass in the garden, and
Oh, no.
yeah, it's a mess. Yeah, and
Hi,
then
Nick.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah, good morning.
hey guys,
Good
Hello.
evening, everybody.
Good morning. Hello.
Hey, Andre.
Happy Father's Day to all the
Hey.
fathers that showed up.
Yeah.
You?
Hey, Nick, just a real quick, sorry about that Instagram.
Oh, it was funny. That's why I said it.
I just wasn't thinking. I don't think like that. So I'm sorry. I apologize. But for everybody else, the picture of Nick with the bird of prey,
What
an
are you guys
eagle
coming
is
down here
stunning.
in Ohio?
And I mentioned on Instagram two of my favorite predators. And then I realized the word predator for a guy is not very good.
oh, well,
Oops.
yeah, but we
Yeah.
know what you meant.
Yes. But the
Yeah,
rest
I
of the
just
world
couldn't
might
miss the
not.
opportunity
Exactly,
Yeah,
to
exactly.
be a
Well, I
there's some
want to
celebrity.
good
know.
usage of that word.
I want to know what's the story behind that picture.
Um, I saw a dude with a giant eagle, and I was like, I want to get a picture with it.
So it
And
was
that's
that.
pretty much we were up at the Fisherman's Bastion, which is this breathtakingly beautiful place, like some of the most expensive tile panels rooftops of these churches, these buildings, these on the royal palace grounds there in Budapest. And I didn't get a picture with any of that stuff, but I got a picture with a fucking random dude with an eagle. So that's
It's what was
that's pretty
important.
much how that went. Um but it was cool. It was a golden eagle, which they're native to like North America and like Siberia, Russia and stuff.
Right?
So he gave it a Russian name, uh, Igor. So and then we both laughed, and I'm like, I'm Nikolai, and he was like, oh. So it was yeah, it was just kind of like I went to Budapest and found a shooting range and an eagle.
Cool.
Um,
Sounds like
Fun
fun.
fact for those who don't know, Budapest is actually two different places.
Mm.
So the left side of the river was Buda, and the right side, well, depending on what side you're on,
Pest.
the other side was Peshtu.
Yeah.
So the in Hungarian it's Budapest or
Yeah.
Budapeshtu, but you had Buda and Pest. And then during the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the leader at the time, the king, was like, "How about we just make this one place?" And that's kind of how it happened. Um, so that's pretty much the gist of that. And yeah, it's actually originally two different cities, Buda and Pest. The Buda side is where the castle grounds and the royal palace are. And it's massive. I mean, it's probably like 20, 30 acres that are considered the castle. It's just a colossally huge place. Um, and you can either walk up or you can take it's like a gondola, but it's not really gondola. It's like one of the oldest in Europe, and it was strictly for the royal family back in the day. And now you can pay like 11, 12 euros and just take a 2 minute ride up. Um, but yeah, it's there's monuments everywhere, and part of the like I would say most of the monuments are just like memorials of Hungarians that got crushed by Soviets and
Mhm.
Russians. It's um because it was they're still like they're only like 20 years out of communism.
Right.
Wow.
So it's there's like a bunch of Turk history, there's Soviet history, there's the castle was built after they got steamrolled by the Mongolians. Um, and then they built there's an island with a monastery that the king had built because his two daughters were killed by the Mongolians. So he sent his daughter off to live in the monastery so she wouldn't. I'm like, it's they've had a rough go. And
A lot
Hungary,
of
the
Eastern
size of
Europe.
Hungary has shrunk a bunch. Croatia, Bratislava, even a part of Austria, and other surrounding countries are actually Hungary. So that's why when you cross the border from like Hungary into like for probably about 20, 30 miles in each direction, give or take, they still speak Hungarian and everything's in Hungarian because it was Hungary. Um, and Hungary is an Asian dialect. It has zero European roots. It sounds different than anything you'll ever hear. It's crazy.
The only related nation to the only related language to it in Europe is actually Finnish.
Yeah,
And there is a really big exclave of Hungarians over in Romania, which caused some historic issues, to say the least, in the
yeah.
last century.
It's a really interesting place just simply because of the history. And it's very you have to like really like sit down and map it out because there's all these layers to it and to really get a handle on what was from when you've got to like see it in front of you because it's just been like they had like realistically only 100 some years of kings. It was like three or four kings and Hungarian kings, and then the rest were either Austrian or something else. So it's a pretty interesting place. Budapest, the one side of the city is very, it's like a big city. There's McDonald's, there's KFC, there's it's stores, it's very consumer. Uh, you've got to kind of like search for the Hungarian stuff, and then you go to the other side, and it is completely like it is very much uh, Budapest lineage and history, and it's really cool. But I recommend it. There's a ton of like thermal hot springs there and stuff. There's literally endless stuff to do. We did it on like a electric motorcycle tour, and there was one dude from Chicago that was on a Segway in the front, and he just learned this was one of the highlights of my trip. The tour was awesome, but we're crossing the one big bridge back to like we're literally 100 meters from the end of the tour. You can see it, and we're on an active bridge. And then like the links of the bridge right next to us, sidewalks on the other side. We have buses, cars, traffic going by us on our left. And I see Dickhead with his phone taking a selfie on the Segway. And I'm like, we're going really fucking slow. And I look around and I see tour guys way out in front because this dude's trying to take selfies as he's riding. And I literally said, I'm like, this guy, I said to the people in front of me, I was like, this guy's gonna eat shit. And sure enough, I see him start gradually heading towards the curb. The curb is big, meaty, like 8 to 10 inch, like elevated thing. And I'm like, look, 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 he's going. And he's drifting into it and he lit and just nails the curb. I see his head disappear. I see his feet go up in the air. He completely ate shit. I lost it.
Oh,
I
so
about fell off the motorcycle. Um, I'm like trying to hide my face so he can't see me laughing, and I'm like kind of
Yell out and tell
I'm
them.
looking behind me, and I see the bus driver that's driving a bus full of people. They are all laughing. Um, yeah, and he just completely ate shit in front of
Another guy who got hurt.
the entire thing. So that was a good
Perfect.
little end of the trip. I had a blast with that one.
That's cool.
But if anybody's wondering if the Austria trip is worth it, it is totally worth it. I got to play with an eagle. I got to watch a dude eat shit on a Segway. And I got to shoot. Turns out Hungary likes guns.
That's what you're saying. Poop.
Well, you were right at home then. Perfect.
Yeah, it was kind of gimmicky. Like, because we bought a package. It was only 10 rounds per. And I'm like, this gun shoots 10 rounds a second. So I was like, I'll shoot some like Cold War stuff, some World War II stuff I'm not like super familiar
Just gonna
with.
talk because I'd rather go.
And got to play with, some like Scorpion, a lot of Czech stuff. And then at the end, like, there's this challenge, and you get a free hour if you complete it. And it was an HK, basically DMR, designated mark, a longer rifle, like a military style marksman rifle with a scope on it and everything. And you had to hit this little, basically like quarter, $50 size thing at 25 yards. So I was like, is it zeroed? Like, is it zeroed? And the guy spoke a little bit of English. He's like, oh, hundreds of people in shot on it. It works. I'm like, that's my concern, because it's had hundreds of people's hands on it. Is it still zeroed? So he's like, look, you have to get 3 rounds touching each other inside them. I'm like, cool, that's too easy. 25 with a bipod supported, like, too easy. So I fired the first round. I hit top left of the circle, just outside of it. And I'm like, it's 2 MOA off. And the guy looked at me like I just spoken. He had no idea what that meant. And I'm like, what magnification can I zoom into before I change? So for those of you who don't know, you have windage and elevation knobs that change your crosshairs doing this, right? And at a certain magnification, that 0 is affected. So like on my rifle, I have a 50 to 200. So at everything but 6 times zoom, I don't have to change the thing, but it's only 0 to 200 on 6 times magnification. So the magnification after a certain distance does change how it functions. So I'm looking through glass with glass, right? So that affects it. So I had to basically adjust my magnification to suit me wearing glasses. Well, it indeed threw it off, which was my concern.
We're gonna get to the.
And I put 3 rounds touching each other just outside. I was like, 0's off. And he had no idea, so we took it in.
I don't think we're gonna get to the checks.
We are. They didn't give me the free thing, but I hit a less than 1 MOA. They were all right on top of each other. So the owner of the thing was like, he's right. It's not zeroed, but he shot.
Right, cluster.
You can tell by a group whether it's trigger error or optic error. So we did whatever Hungarian moonshine is.
What's that? Why?
All right. So
Why would you get?
The form checks? There's a.
Is it a blower? That came in the.
So being that today is a holiday, we're gonna knock out some, and then
a better deal for a bunch of stuff
on Thursday.
That's why I ended up with that thing. That's why it lives in the basement. How I done.
Being that I leave for LA on Thursday, I'm going to do a couple. I'm going to do one today. I'm going to do some more tomorrow, and some the next day, because it's like 160 or something, being that it has been a longer period. So we're going to get through some today, and then everyone can go about their Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to you all, especially to fathers in here. So we'll do those, and then I will figure out a time for tomorrow and have Catch upload all that, and keep you guys in the loop. So for any that wants to sit in, Ken, it's none of it is. There'll probably be 2 or 3 this week. So that being said, we're gonna head over to the form checks. To whoever asked if we get to the form checks, I dilly-dally because I'm still accepting people into the Zoom. So once I see that slow down, that's when I get into the form check. So in case you're wondering why I was taking so long, I was still accepting requests to join the lobby. All right.
We like learning about things from you, though, Nick. You're a mind of
Mind information.
yeah,
You should be-
varied information.
Mate, you could be
Agreed.
one of those open top.
You
could be
never
on
know
the-
what you're gonna get.
mate. Open top bus in Budapest, mate. You could be giving it all out.
He needs to give it time to his computer to fire up. It takes forever.
It's been I didn't want to say this because I don't want to jinx it, but it's been behaving recently.
We jinxed it now.
Yeah, it's watch, the whole system's gonna crash and you guys aren't getting any form check. All right. Either I missed one when I deleted it, or Bart is moving incredibly well, very consistent with his squats, which could also be very likely because he's been chipping away at these. These look good. Got under a real bar. Let's see. Brilliant. Bart, these are great.
Thank you.
Yeah, these are really good front squats, man. Well done. You're very analytical of the information and of yourself. So I'm not surprised how clean you've been at this a while now. Like you've cleaned this up at a very fine level. So that is moving very well. I'd like to see you push the weight a little bit more now, when possible, for the set.
Can you repeat it? Sorry.
I'd like to see you start pushing your weight and your effort a little higher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That.
Also, Nick, thank you for coaching in Tal. It was, and the happy hours it was.
Of course. Of course. It was a blast, man. We had fun. And then we got to drink some Austrian moonshine after.
I skipped it. Say hi to Rachel, and I'm glad I catch it because I just put my kids to sleep.
Yes, sir. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
Rachel is the best. And then there's Nick.
Yes.
She's a keeper.
Aaron.
She's
Go
a
ahead.
keeper.
Don't tell her that. Aaron, you are trying to squat your deadlift, is what I call this. We want to use that posterior chain. So we ideally, this is what I mean by you're trying to squat your deadlift. We want to get those hips up. We want to get the hamstrings engaged, and the glutes. So you're pretty much quad dominating this pull. Your pull will be noticeably stronger if we bring our hips up to a higher position on the start, and you won't feel as limited. You'll notice a difference in power available right off the floor. So we want to bring our hips up slightly, not too high, somewhere in the middle. You're gonna have to play with it a little bit, but we definitely need to get the hips up. Keep pushing the ground away. And the other thing is, when you see how this all folds, you're losing that brace. I want you to keep that tension into that lumbar, pushing that tailbone to the sky, belly button to the floor, creating that neutral plane in that lumbar to maintain that brace.
Oh, Jesus. That's not good.
Okay. See, Andres, you had to say something, and now it's
Hey, it worked. It's working.
okay. Give it a second to buffer. These are pretty good. I don't want you deadlifting them in the platform shoes, those heel elevated shoes. I'd rather you be flat for this. Otherwise, the form looks great. The hinge looks good. You're maintaining your brace throughout the entirety of the rep. I want to see a big squeeze out of the glutes at the top, but you don't need the lifters, the heel elevation on a deadlift plane. That's the only thing I would say about that. But well done. You had a great day at the pools in Austria too. And thank you for translating Hungarian. He speaks Hungarian and German, so he's a big help. Sarah, welcome.
Hey Nick, thanks. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How was your trip back?
It was good. It was I was ready to come home about a couple days prior, but I was just tired. But it was pretty, when you're flying halfway across the world, you're tired.
Yeah, of course. It was a couple of full-on days as well. Like, it was a lot of fun,
Yes.
but it's like full on.
Mark, these aren't bad, man.
Good stuff.
Are these the RDLs?
Yes. I think
Yes.
so, yeah.
Okay. These are good. You're hinging really well. I'd like to see you so on the first rep, I don't want you to RDL it up. I want you to conventionally deadlift. So pick it up, and I want you to start your rep at the top. So that doesn't, because it's harder to get into position and keep that longer range of motion all the way down when an RDL typically only comes, depending on range of motion and with flexibility of the hamstrings and glutes, only comes about 6 inches down off the floor. I want you to deadlift it up, conventional deadlift it up, brace, then hinge. Reason being is you're a little soft in the lumbar. See this position right here?
Yeah.
I don't want you picking it up like that. I want you to conventionally deadlift it. And we never see how you finish the rep there. I want you all the way through. I want those hips coming all the way through. I want to see your shoulders over your hips, over your knees. So
Right.
how to ensure that happens is I want you to squeeze the hell out of your glutes. Your glutes are what drive the hips through.
Right.
So squeeze the glutes, big squeeze, hold it for a 1/1000 at the top to make sure, rebrace, then come down. Push that butt back behind you, way past your heels, and you'll feel that stretch in the hamstring. See, you're pretty neutral here, which is fine, but the real important neutral back comes right here in that lumbar. And I really want you to focus on pushing that belly button out and turning your tailbone to the sky. So really affecting in this motion. So I'm hyperextended here because I'm exaggerating. But when you're deadlifting, now it's flat, right? You see a nice neutral spine all the way up when I'm loaded. So that's what I really want you to pay attention to with your RDLs. So deadlift it up regularly, brace at the top, squeeze with that midsection, really slide your hips back behind you. And you don't need to go down to the floor. Like right there is fine. I think we should start right there because if you get outside of your range of motion, that is also what can cause you to fold in the lumbar because you do what's called reaching. You can't hinge any further. So something has to give. And it's natural. So that's why I said mostly you've got the right inputs. We just need to get them in the right position.
Right. Good stuff.
Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, this starts a bit with a close-up to focus on how I grab the handle basically, and in the end it zooms out.
Your rack position's good. This is really good. Elbows high. You're keeping everything from the waist up, driving up into that bar and controlled. It looks like your depth is good. You said there's another one?
It goes
there
a
we
bit
go.
further.
So I want you to sit back to your heels a little bit more. So you're coming down and forward. See if I can get in the right spot. So you see how those heels start to peel up just a little bit? It's because you're coming down and forward. Sit back over your heels like you would a back squat. The only difference is the weight's here and we're keeping our chest proud. Everything else where your hips track is very, very similar, if not identical to a back squat. Again, you've got like 90% of the puzzle. It's just a matter of getting the inputs in the right position.
Yeah, it really was with, I currently do like 2 exercises to get my lats a bit more mobile before I start on it. And it really helps a lot.
Yes.
I did
You're
not
a
expect
big, meaty muscle, man. People don't realize that can restrict this elbow. If you guys think about it, if you get on your knees and hold like a PVC pipe with your palms facing towards you, you try and push your head without letting your hands collapse, keeping them at elbow width or wider, and drive your head between as far as you can go, you're going to feel that stretch all the way through here. And you're going to realize how tight your lats can get because I don't think it's the forefront of everyone's mind that this is there's such a big piece of this puzzle on a squat. They're like, why am I stretching my back for a squat? Well, to get in position. So I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you're doing that. Well done. What did the beginning say? Oh. Boom. Look at the difference. So, Mark, this is what I was saying to you. This is the same thing that's going on here. So this is current. You see how his hips are over his heels, like behind them? Whereas his drive, as he starts to descend on the left here, Watch how his hips don't get out of the way. And look, he comes down and forward. And look at the difference in depth here versus here. Just by getting your hips in the right place opens up range of motion. The only difference between this and a front squat is where you hold the bar and where your upper body position might be, just because of the leverage is different. But this is what I meant by hips getting behind you versus on top of your heels.
Yeah, that makes a crazy change. Like,
Yes.
that goes way deeper.
Changes the bar path, changes the leverage, changes the torque angle on the knee. It changes how you're able to engage really when you recruit the quad to come up. It changes what it can and can't do because it frees up the hips.
So Nick, what was it that got the hips in the right spot?
He just sat back.
Okay.
He lets them travel behind him there. Gabriel, these are great. Oh, perfect. Front squat. So now you're going to see how his hip position probably doesn't change at all, if I had to guess. Yep. Doesn't change. So forget from the waist up. Look at this, right? Now, if we go back, looks exactly the same. If you draw a line here and don't look at anything above his hips, this almost literally identical. So the squatting. What happens from how he's stabilized changes is the only difference is where he's holding the weight. Obviously, front squats try to fold you. They're harder, can't do as much weight. But how this operates from the waist down doesn't change. Gabriel, putting on a clinic over here, man. You're doing fantastic. Good. He has a nice big stride. He's got long legs, so it seems. He's got a nice big stride, but he's settling down. He's not slamming into the hole. Knees tracking over the toe. Everything is what it needs to be. Is from the waist up, he's staying very vertical. He's controlling the weight. You don't want to let it swing and then it try to take you forward. Nick, well done, man. Oh God, that made me nervous. Foot halfway on the chair. I was expecting like he's using what he's got. So for that reason, I don't hate it. Typically with a step up, I want your whole foot on the implement. Main reason being I want you using your whole foot to drive. That mid-foot pressure is very important. So Nick, if possible, if this chair will allow it, I'd like to see you get your whole foot onto the chair instead of just driving with the toe. Because we really want that power line, right? If you draw a line from that knee straight down, This is a very important part of the foot for power drive when it comes to a static lift, that midfoot. Because the weight disperses, it goes down into that and it goes both directions. So it's kind of a hub for power transfer. But your actual step up looked great. Sorry. Mark, you're nailing these. The only thing I want to see here is that lockout, that really squeezing the glutes at the top. Squeeze those glutes to drive the hips forward. But your position nailed this. Well done.
It will be done.
My man. All right, so that cue. Push your belly button to the floor, turn your hips up. Watch right here. Boom. Do you see that mid back and lower back drive down towards the floor? This is called pulling in tension. Right here. Boop. Do you see that lumbar push down? So what that was that cue of anterior pelvic tilt, using your hips to push your belly button to the floor, creating tension from basically your upper back all the way down into your hamstrings. So it elongated everything, created tension, created support. Andy, well done. He'll do it again. See, look at this. Cat and then cow. Boom. He's getting tired. So it folded a little bit as he input power. But that happens at the top of the set. But he's still implementing the cue, and there's not an alarming amount of flexion. It's just a little bit of fatigue. We're seeing some slack in the midsection, and if your effort's high, it's going to happen. It's not, his brace isn't collapsing, it's just getting tired. Andy, those were fantastic. Thorin, our big puller of the club, increased his pump club record at 357 kilograms this past weekend on the trap bar. I'm sorry, the weekend before, which is fantastic. It's a lot of weight for you Americans. That's 785 pounds. Massive weight. Got that Viking power.
So strong.
Yes. Deficit deadlifts. Look at that. Pulling in that tension, setting that lumbar. I've been hammering him on his lockout. And he is, look at that big squeeze at the top. Mark, that's what I want to see out of you. So he did exactly what we'd planned. This is great. Yes. Absolutely crushing these. Big boy box jumps. Boom. Good. Strong and explosive is dangerous. That's power generation. This is why I tell you guys on deadlifts and squats, we want a hard contraction, especially when we're warming up. We want power coming out of the hole. Move it fast when you can move it fast. Because, I mean, he's a big boy, right? And he's generating a ton of power. He's also our strongest deadlifter in the group. So his ability to produce power at an explosive rate is no coincidence to how strong he is. They go, one supports the other. So this is why I'm always harping on the power and the speed, and why there was an article about it. And it's as simple as you're working up, hit input with power on your big compound lifts. Obviously, when you hit, above 70%, things will slow down, power will reduce, but the input doesn't change. It just will move slower because it's heavy. Okay, Thorin, we got some work to do on these. So, see how he has this twist? That hip is really trying to open up on these single leg RDLs. So, look, it's already back. He's initiating it with his pelvis back. So, it might not necessarily indicate a weakness so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cue him to change it. And if he physically can't, then that tells me there's a weakness in somewhere in the hips, and we will need to troubleshoot some things. But I don't think it's that. I think it's just an input. So, Thorin, I want you squared up when you start these, like perfectly square. And when you are then reaching back and generating that tension, I don't care how far down you get as long as you maintain that neutral spine. What I don't want you to do, and you can try it with one arm dumbbell. That might be easier. So you put the opposite hand with the dumbbell, and the other hand that is same side leg, you put it out. So what I want you to do actually is squeeze your butt to start and square up your hips. And then when you do that and you transfer that weight, I don't want you to open up. I want you to actively drive that hip forward. It'll feel like you're twisted, but in reality, I'm actively driving it forward and I'm neutral. So here from the side, if I'm not actively driving it forward, you can see my other butt cheek, right? If I'm actively driving it forward, I have a straight line across my back. And what you'll do is you'll feel that in the hamstring much heavier. So I want you to actively input that glute. When you squeeze, pull that hip forward. Keep it in. Reach down. So we don't open up at the hips. If there is a stability issue, you can work up to that. You can lightly, gently put your offhand on something. And it might feel easier, and then work up to a dumbbell in each hand once we get that input correct. Yep. Supported dumbbell rows. Half kneeling. John, these are pretty good, man.
All right.
I would like to see you row a little bit more towards that belly button.
Okay.
Slightly. So just a little bit of rearward input. I want you to keep that chest pushed out. So reason being is it's not bad and you're supported, so it's okay. But I want to see this flatten out just a little bit.
Okay.
So inputting that chest out and really emphasizing that back squeeze is just a roundabout way to cue keeping tension in our back.
Okay. I can do that.
But overall, these are pretty good, man. Well done. I think you could definitely hit the gas on a little more weight.
Yeah, I actually lowered these about 10 pounds because I had my left wrist has got something going on, but I was feeling better with actually a little more weight, but I thought I'd do a form check before I go back.
Okay. Yeah. Green light for me, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good. Tish, these are getting much better. So we're getting a little bit too low. We don't want to snatch position this. We've over adjusted with the hip position on the clean portion. So we want to bring your hips up. If you watch, when you go to explode, your hips come out of that position anyway when the bar leaves the ground. So ideally, that's probably where you're going to end up to start. Pull in tension, arms straight off the floor. And then as that momentum builds, that's when you input to yank up on the bar for the clean. So it's a sequence. It doesn't happen all at the floor. Leg drive gets it moving, momentum, arms bring it up, then we catch. With that being said, the actual press, the transition, there you go. That's where I want you to catch the bar. You see how you had to change it? Started to strict press, then you dipped and drived. Pick one, strict press or push press, and run that variation for the clean and press for the duration. I don't care which one. But if it's going to be push press, settle in like you did here. See how your knees and legs, your hips are behind you, everything's soft, slightly bent. So when you go to dip and drive, you didn't get much out of it. So stand up with the bar. Stand up. Get set. Hips, knees, everything stacked. Squeeze your butt. Violent dip. Hit hard. Don't sag into that explosion. I want you to bip shallow and hard. We want explosive power to go into the bar. If you're going to push press, that's why that rack position is important. The power transfer goes up through your body, the bar resting on those delts gets put right into the bar. You throw it with your legs and finish it with your shoulder press. Then on his pull-up progression. Lovely.
Yeah, I'm trying everything I can to make it, hard as possible while still accessible.
This is good.
It doesn't feel good.
No, it's not gonna. That last rep, I want you to fight for an incredibly slow eccentric.
Yes.
Make it longer. Fight harder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fight more.
So this what you're doing, these modifications, Tish just jumped in. Tish, I literally just did your video. This is good. This is a great setup. This is sound progression here. You're adjusting difficulty by how close or how far that bench is, how high your feet are. Those are all going to input into how much weight you feel, quote unquote, in hand. So you're doing the right thing. You're on the right track here. You've got a good understanding of how to essentially add weight with your body weight here. And you have a system that works for you. There's the band method. There's the if you have a high enough rack, obviously you can stand on a bench and adjust that way. This is a perfectly sound and valid way to basically adjust your weight depending on week to week. So I like this. This is good.
Good stuff. I say because I'm quite limited on ceiling space, because I can literally reach up and touch my ceiling up there in my garage. So
yeah, that's
I can't get
totally
a full
fine.
size rack.
There's even when you do start doing body weight pull-ups, this is going to force you to get really good at them and get a really strong core. Reason being is you can do them without leg support, because once you get to the point where you're strong enough or light enough, you can hold your feet out in front of you in like an L sit and do
Yes,
pull-ups.
I've thought about
They're
that.
hard. They're high difficulty degree, but high difficulty degree. But that could be like a goal way down the road to be able to do pull-ups that way in your garage. I think that's pretty cool.
No, that's absolutely in my mind because I thought, you know, what have I done? I've done my starting body weight deadlift. Obviously, I'll keep working on getting stronger there. But I was like, what's the next goal? Pull-ups are cool. I started with push-ups. I thought I'll started doing those. I've achieved that. Big deadlift. We'll go for a pull-up now. Why not?
Yeah, 100. I love it. So you're on the right track. Let's just throw in some eccentrics at the end of the set where the
Mhm.
pull starts the pulling up starts to wane, and we can add some more time under tension with just trying to hold off gravity as long as we can.
Absolutely. Gravity the swine.
I mean, gravity ultimately always wins. So it's just
Yes. That's all right. We'll
That's a
allow it.
great goal for next year, Nick. That's a great goal for Ben. I love it.
what
Because
to
you're
be able
going
to
to be
fly,
there, aren't you, Becky?
to finally
April.
become the master of gravity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Master
That
of
and
gravity.
a pull-up.
I like it.
Mhm.
Shoulder press.
Oh yeah, these are. I've got my own thoughts on these. I see from my own video. Obviously, I'm letting my wrists fall back and my arms aren't straight under the bar. But I'm wondering if anything else you're seeing. Because I've been stuck on this weight for a long time. By you.
What we could try is, yes, you're behind it, so that's why you get this arcing press versus getting a little bit more underneath of it in that incline and driving
Yeah.
directly over your head. So with this position being here, you have to press it out so you can then get your elbows underneath. That's why it's arcing.
Mhm.
So to figure that out, that you're gonna have to get proud chest, squeeze that back, much like a bench press, and fire those elbows underneath, pack the lats, and get the upper back and the rear delts into it. And that should create a that incline straighter bar path as an end result. It's just a matter of figuring out the bar path. I don't think this is much of a strength issue. I think this is we're figuring it out.
Yeah. Okay, that's absolutely grand. While I do have you briefly, I'll try and be brief. Front squats, trying very hard with the grip, the proper grip, and it just burns in my forearms. So I end up reverting to the crossover method, like the crossed arms, like that. Is this just a matter of just keep up with the stretching and eventually it'll not
Yeah.
be
Keep
terrible?
pushing on the stretching, and just put your straps on the bar so you can do the strap method.
Yeah.
Are you familiar?
Yes, I've seen, and Gabriel
So
very helpfully did a video for me on that, how to do that. So
say you're able to get through your first set with this method, and then the second set you're like, oh fuck, it hurts. You can like it's becoming too much, starting to create fatigue in a different direction. The strap's already on the bar. You can just grab them and switch, so you don't have to break stride.
okay, that's good. I can do that because I was going to upload a video, but frankly, I was a bit embarrassed because it's just me moaning the entire time. Go, Jesus, this bloody
I mean,
fire in my forearms.
I'm telling you the exact thing that I do. Like when I have a lot of overhead work in a program, which is it's strongman. That's mainly if there's an axle, because I'm in that front squat position to push press an axle. So my wrists have already taken a beating here. And then I typically have front squats are very common for deadlift and overhead progression. So it takes a dual beating when that implement the axle is involved. So I would typically do like my first couple sets without the straps, and then when I feel it starting to accumulate, I switch to the strap method just so my wrists aren't hooked, from the excessiveness of being double whammied by two different lifts requiring the same position. So I'm telling you, I'm recommending a method to do exactly what I do. The other thing, and Richard in here found it worked for him, is I wear wrist wraps when I front squat. that compression
Okay.
reduces some of that pain, uncomfortableness of it, and it worked for him. So you could try that as well to see if that helps alleviate. I mean, for me, it does. I almost always wear wrist wraps when I do front squats now because of it.
That's a very helpful tip. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, I wouldn't have a job if my tips weren't helpful. You know what I mean?
Be a different kind of job. Would you like prize with that?
We're too narrow in the grip. Jerking on the bar. Yep. All right. Amelie, you are squirrely with these. So we need to ironically, we need to slow down this explosive movement. Because you are all over the place, ma'am. So look at this. See how you're dipping down and then you're jerking on the bar? Stop it. We want to be tight, just like a deadlift. We want to be in position, want to be tight. Not only are you jerking the bar, look how far away from it is. You have a 4-inch gap between you and the bar. So that means you're giving the bar the advantage. You're giving it leverage back that you could be using. So you're jerking on the bar, and then that is completely moving around down here. We want to get wider. We want our grip to be slightly outside of our leg, where our deadlift is right down the sides of our legs because we want to be as long as possible. That changes with this. So we need that bar close. That doesn't change. Bar close, right up against your shins. Or 1/4 inch over the midfoot, just like a deadlift. From there, we want to be a little bit wider because as we come up and we transition into that high pull and that triple extension, we can't do it as good here, nor are we in a position to catch. So we get wider. So when we rotate around and snag the bar, we're in a much more advantageous position. So look how far away that bar still is from you. That's making it harder. The jerking on the bar it's not heavy enough, but it will pull you out of position. So you're at triple extension on you're at extension on the toes, and you're not even at a point where the extension is oh man. How do I say this? Your timing is incorrect. I want you to do high pulls. You're gonna hate this, but let's back off the clean. Let's forget the clean for now. Let's do high pulls from the floor. Because this is, I'm not quite sure how you end up there. So we are, I think it's because it's just super light. The bar should be arriving here, and we have to get to it, not pulling it around and down on top of us. So let's scratch the clean. Let's learn to high pull, because that is the foundation before kind of catching it's a sequence of things that has to happen before you actually clean the bar. And we need to your timing from your extension to your position to jerking out. I'm trying not to feed you with a fire hose, but collectively there's so much out of position and going wrong. We need to back off. We need to reduce the movement pattern and address fewer things. We're trying to run when we should still be crawling in this movement. So we need to take it back to a point of the movement where things start to go wrong, and that's from the very beginning. So we need to get your setup reeled in. We need to get you a little bit wider. We need to get that bar in. We need to stop jerking on the bar. And then once we conquer that, then we get into the part that where the bar leaves the ground and starts to fly up, and we get into extension. And you're on your toes and your hips are still behind you. So you're trying to extend and you're not extended. So triple extension, meaning that's too low. Triple extension, meaning toes, hips, and the rest of my body is I've extended. If I was to jump I'm not going to do it because I have my head on the ceiling. If I was to jump as high as I can, my hips have to come through and get over my toes, and I reach for the sky. So if I'm going here and I'm on my toes, I'm doing something completely out of order. I haven't finished my leg drive through my feet. So if I'm on my toes before I hit the point where my hips start coming through, I'm just out of position, and even more out of position than I was. So we need to get your timing correct so it all happens in sequence. So once the bar is moving, we're in position to then catch the bar. So we need to get that hip tension, hand width, everything in position. So I want you to start working on the high pulls, and we can go from there. But there's a whole lot we got to work on here, and I want to narrow it down, is basically what I'm trying to say. We need to crawl, walk, run. We're running, we should be crawling. There's a whole lot that needs to happen to get you into position and input correctly. So I love that you're doing clean and presses now. We just need to get it much more in the realm of correct when it comes to timing and position. And this is clean and press are one of the utmost technical things you can do with this, because it requires not only strength, it requires a higher degree of precision and timing. So not only does it require just being precise, it requires being precise at the right time. Much like anything, but there's a certain level of precision involved because of the explosive nature, the moving parts that are in a clean. It's just a lot going on. So some people take to it like a fish to water. Some people don't. That's okay. That's with everything. But it is a clean and press by nature is not a beginner lift. It's barely an intermediate lift. It is much because it takes a certain level of coordination and fundamental understanding of bar path and movement to execute at a basic level. Example, I was in Jen has a pretty great clean and jerk and clean and press, and we worked on her split jerk on a barbell a little bit in Graz. So like, even she's a advanced level person, right? And still technical efficiencies. I hired a subject matter expert, and I'm elite because of technical efficiencies. It's fucking hard. Clean and presses, especially with bar, are hard. So that's why I don't take that lightly, and I spend so much time on it because I don't want to give her, and she's English is her second language, so I want to be really thorough to give her something to chew on, and make sure it's understood so we can progress on it. Whoops. I saw enough of you, Ian. I don't need to see any more of you.
I just want to check whether this is enough range of movement for a top quarter squat. But also, these feel like death because they're so heavy.
Yep, that means you're doing them right.
Okay.
They should be overloaded. Yes. So the trick here, you see how you do what I'm calling reaching for those pins. And this is a purely mental thing. I don't think this is I think it's because you're like, fuck, this is heavy. You don't trust your legs.
Yeah, I try to imagine the pins aren't there.
This is good. I want you to watch the hips as we get closer to these pins. This last little bit. What'd you notice there? That last little jump?
That lean forward.
Right there. Do you see how you reached the last little bit?
Yeah.
I'm 100% confident that this is your brain going, fuck, 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 fuck. This is heavy. That normal, totally normal. I want you to let those pins arrive by sitting down.
Okay.
I promise you, these things right here are strong enough.
All right.
If you can do this with it, your legs are strong enough.
All right.
I just don't want you to ingrain a habit of getting under big weight and changing things. And that's what this also trains. Those rack pulls, these top range of motion lifts are meant to overload. And yes, it is fundamentally making you stronger at that point of the squat, but there is science behind getting our nervous system acclimated to these heavier weights when we drop weight and do our high effort, high weight, full range of motion squats. There is a conditioning going on here. So I want you to just let those pins arrive by continuing to sit down and being completely rigid. Focus on your brace. I trust your movement pattern enough that I don't need you to think about the squat. All I want you to focus on is hold the fucking line.
Okay.
With the core.
All right. I don't think it helps that that's off the back of the big lift last week in Tal. So I feel like my whole system's a bit off. Like
Yeah,
that
I mean, you had
really
a big
shaky
deadlift
as
day.
well.
Yeah, but I think that might have some impact, but I think this is just a matter of engagement.
Okay.
So, your core is Scotland, the weight is England. Hold the line.
Rude.
But historically accurate.
There are a lot of English people in here.
Well, if this was historically accurate, the bar would have folded you, so.
That's true.
Not in 13-14.
Anyway, gotta love the cultural jokes. They're the best. Especially when you guys are in the same room. I saw Ben about piss himself on that one. Yes. So the correction we made was getting the big reach with her basically bottom of the sports bra, upper rib cage, up off the floor and reaching for those toes for the V sit up. Nailing these. Well done. She takes cues quick, man. All right. Got a little helper. Look at the little dude. He's getting after it. I love it. Your hinge pattern, Jacqueline. This was better. The first rep, we hinged into flexion right here. So we're just going too far. Do you see how when you input to come up, your lumbar angle changed from rigid, and then the input happens? And what that is, I don't think it's a strength issue. You sat back a little bit into that rear foot. Try to get your glutes engaged, your hips underneath of you. We don't want to do that on these. We want to let the leverage be what it is. We don't want to gain ground, because then the difficulty of that hinge gets reduced, and we want that hinge. We don't want optimal leverage. We want optimal position to bear the weight in that position. So that means really tight lumbar, less weight on this back foot. You should be able to lift that at any point and be able to stay in position. That's how little it's not inputting into the lift. It's just stabilizing. Kickstand RDL, just stabilizing. We want it light, just enough to keep you upright. That's really all we need. But I really want you to exaggerate that pelvic tilt. We want that tailbone turn to the sky. I want to see a nice, and I know you have the mobility to do so, based on your other movements that you do. I want to see nice rigid lumbar here. Protect that midsection. Focus on that brace. You have a strong core. This isn't a strength issue. This is just an activation and input. See, you do it here for your rows. We could get a little bit further over. I'd like to see that. There we go. That was better. I'd like to see you hinge a little bit, like another 5 degrees or so, 10 degrees, not much. But the rows are good. Good contraction, good bar path. I just want you over a little bit further. Keep that back tight and that chest proud. Squeeze that upper back together the entire time. Don't press your shoulders out of position. Keep them screwed into your back. Otherwise, everything else is good. We've got good tension all the way down to the legs. We got some deadlifts, some barbell deadlifts. All right. That's a better position than the first rep. Yes. So I want you closer. You see how when you get to that midpoint, where is it? See how we're away here? Our hips should be advancing by then. Squeezing our glutes, getting to the bar. So basically what I mean by closer, I didn't say that correctly. I went less knee angle. So if that bar was closer to the floor, it'd be slightly lower. That looks close. But you see this angle right here? We need to get you possibly back a little bit more into your midfoot and heel, kind of pushing back into your glutes and hips. So we have less angle here, and that way you're actually closer to the bar as a whole. Your pivot point for leverage is closer to the bar, I should say. So when you do input to push the ground away, it is completely vertical, and you don't have to, your hips won't be as late to the bar. The bar should be connecting with those thighs. Somewhere a little bit past here. But it doesn't really make contact till you've completely finished. So we want to get your glutes, the term it's not a bad thing. It's just the way I phrase it. You're like glute lazy with the deadlift, and that's just a matter, again, not a strength issue, activation. So I really want you to push tension down into those glutes by drifting back into your midfoot and heel, orienting yourself closer to the bar so we have a more straighter shin angle. And as you fire up, we don't want to sit you lower. We want to keep pushing the ground away so your hamstrings are involved. It's not all quad, but I want you to squeeze with your glutes as you come up into that position. Jonathan, these are good. Little soft on the lockout. Finish the lockout. Big glute squeeze. All the way up. Stand up proud. Again, same thing. Squeeze the shit out of your glutes. Advance them to the bar with a vengeance. But from the ground up to that point, your deadlift's looking really good. Irina, these are pretty good. The only change I want to see is after you clear your eye line, I want you to press over your head, not out in front of you. Everything else looks great. So this is the single arm. Yep. All right. So this is a good angle. You see how your elbow is dumped out? With these, what makes them harder is when it's dumped out like that, it's actually a little bit easier. So when we bring that elbow in and we drive it up and keep that vertical kind of by my ear versus ending here. So if we keep that elbow tight and we drive here, you will feel way more in the tricep. It'll just all of a sudden get harder because it's creating more leverage on the target muscle. When we're back here, an elbow, you don't need it like, I mean, I can't. My lat just won't allow it. But I have to be conscious of it when I do it with like a barbell or Swiss bar, not to let my elbows dump out, which feels more natural and easy because I'm fighting tension in my upper back and lats. But if I'm consciously driving those, squeezing those elbows in, I feel it way more in my tricep and keeping everything back and not letting them drift forward and out. Please tell me it's not how you're holding the bar. Yep, it is. Okay. That is a strict press position. If you were to strict press the bar overhead. The silver lining here, Stan, is that you're strong. This is arguably harder than the way I want you to do it. Which means all of this, you've got a strong back, strong midsection. What I want you to do, all you need is 2-3 fingers. So I want you to drive those elbows up and actually let that bar rest on your delt and just keep it tracked there with your fingers. Your actual squat is fantastic. I mean, you're not folding in the slightest bit. You've got 25 kilo on either side. This is good. This is promising. This is strong. So all we got to do is get you in position with the bar in the rack, the front rack position, and your squat's really going to be cooking. So let's focus on that. I really don't want you to change anything else at the moment. I want you to get the hang of that first, and then we can tinker. But I'm really excited once we get your front rack ironed out, what's going to be possible for you. So I want you hinged over a little bit more, and really pushing that belly button out and keeping that chest proud for the row. I don't think it's a matter of you can't bear the weight. You obviously can row the shit out of it. It's just a matter of, again, positioning and actively getting yourself into position. So nothing crazy. I want to get you hinged over, push that belly button to the floor. You know, that same cue I give people out on deadlift. These are good. The only thing, Juliana, so we can potentially get a little bit more stretch out of that, is I want you to let your hips sink slightly below the plane of the bench. And then keep everything else the same.
Okay. I had a really quick question about that, if possible.
Sure.
So it's the first time I've ever done them in my entire life, and the day after I had like a little bit of pain sort of around my neck and jaw, and I wasn't sure if that was just like neck DOMs or if it's like it was gone the day after that. So
It was
yeah,
this. Look at that. You see this?
Mhm.
That's your neck muscles, which are connected to your jaw. Everything kind of connects up under there. You were probably, without knowing it, and this is how subtle it can be when it comes to tension in the body. I get sports massages regularly, and I've been seeing the same people depending on whose schedule's open, Katie or CJ, and they will literally tell me, let me have it, because they will move a body part and I will be inputting unconscious tension that I simply walk around with and do unknowingly, and they'll shake it and they'll say, let me have it. And then like I go, oh, and then I feel like a release. And it's usually in my glutes, my neck, and my quads, that they're very protective. And I don't know why. I have to like actively disengage it, which is weird to say. So what you're doing here is passively squeezing, because you're holding your neck up. You're trying to stay in position. And I've been guilty of this laying in bed, where I'll be like, man, my neck feels kind of tired. And then I will like push my head down to the pillow. And I think I'm pushing to the pillow, but I was just releasing it. For whatever reason, I was holding my head ever so slightly, a pound or two of pressure off of input unknowingly. So what you're doing is passively creating support here. And it's your first time doing that. And with that being said, this is fantastic for never doing it. Your neck is working. So it was stabilizing your little melon here. And what you felt was like, oh shit, it just did something it's never done before. So it was probably carrying some of that tension, because it was going, what the fuck? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? We've never done this before. Why are we doing it now? And it was sore. So it's just the nature of this, because it's not like you're just going to do these and just let your neck dangle off the thing like a rag doll. That wouldn't be comfortable. So just get used to it, and I promise, after some time, you probably won't notice it ever again.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, David, what do we got here? Okay, dumbbell deadlifts. These are good. We don't need to shrug at the top, so just be conscious of that. But this explosive input into the hinge is fantastic. I mean, this is how you deadlift if you're on a trap bar. So your movement pattern is actually very put together. It's good. If possible, I'd like to see more weight. You move very well. Your lumbar's intact. You've got great timing it's a very smooth, very together hinge pattern. So good job. see how it looks from the front. I'm not concerned with your foot width here, with how that looked from the side. Yep, knees are tracking over the toes. They're not collapsing. Everything's kosher, my man. I like it. Johan. Stand all the way up, especially when you unrack here. I went too far. So when you unrack, I want you to step under the bar like you're about to squat. So when it comes to these squats, front squats, deadlifts, anything in a rack, we want to get set for the unrack in anything that comes out of a rack like this, because that sets up what happens next. So when we step under a squat bar, whether it's front or back squat, doesn't matter. I want it to be in position that you're ready to squat the weight. So if I'm getting to a front squat, I'm cranking in, and then I'm stepping under, boom. And then I brace, and I move with it while I'm braced, so there's no breakdown. And then I exhale. I get set, and then I squat. Every time I'm moving, I'm creating tension before I move. So I want you underneath the bar when you unrack. Train like it's heavy. Here, you got set, and then you just kind of went right into it. I want you to squeeze those glutes. I want to see you get that big brace, get that air, consciously bear down, and then go into your squat. Your actual squat pattern, though, is good. There's a lot I love about it. We're not really getting too far out of bar path here. We drift a little bit ever so slightly forward in the hole, but the heels aren't peeling up. It's very subtle. Your actual squat pattern is good. I want you to be very conscious of your unrack.
Okay.
It's an important piece to the puzzle, and actively creating tension ingrains it to the point of passively doing it. So after months of this, your unrack will just be something you do. It won't be like I gotta get here, I gotta here. Like it'll be mindless. Up, bit out of the rack, down, up, and then it won't be something you even think about anymore. Because
so it's like it's like about engaging like the back and the glutes and everything. Like when you're
setting yourself up to squat.
Yeah.
Stack it up, squat it.
Yep.
Otherwise, I love you move well. There's there's nothing really catastrophic I need to harp on. I want to see you collectively get your setup, and then we'll go from there a little bit deeper.
Yep.
All right. I want to see more acceleration on the up. I want you to attack the bar with your hips by squeezing your glutes really hard.
Yep.
But
I have
go ahead.
Yeah, I have like trouble like usually like engaging both my glutes and kind of the lower back, because I always like had like feel like I have a weak lower back, and
it's not
like,
weak
trouble
because look at your position. This never breaks. It's just a matter of activation. So I don't think it's a weakness issue. I think it's and speeding up will force your glutes to engage. The down is great. The tempo down, controlled, you're load bearing, you're doing all that fantastic. The glutes, when that speeds up, I want you to literally take a rep and just absolutely slam your hips into the bar. And then when you feel the bar, try and rebound off your hips, because what will happen is, oh, no, that's a new light bulb. I don't want to use that. What do I have to use? I have a dolly, little cart. So if I'm going down, I'm already creating tension here. I'm trying to snap the bar to my lats. I'm bracing. Boom. You see how that tried to rebound? And I kept the input of trying to snap it, like pow, trying to break the bar. And that's how I kept my hips driving into it. And you're going to take a 1/1000 and squeeze. Release, stay vertical, squeeze, hinge, fire.
Yeah.
And there's no way that your glutes can't activate doing that. It forces them to fire.
Yeah. I'll try it next time.
Break that bar in half like it owes you money. Raise position, clean. Mark, these are good. This is this is really sound hinge. We could honestly get a little bit more out of your leg drive on the mid range if we start your hips slightly higher.
Okay.
You're almost squatting this.
Okay.
Which you can get away with on a trap bar, but not a conventional pull because of where the bar is and the load is neutral. Unlike a conventional deadlift, you can't squat it. It'll just, you'll be too far out of position. So the silver lining here is it means you've got great quad strength and you're not folding. So we know you've got strong back, strong midsection, and strong quad. So we want to deadlift to deadlift. And all that's going to be, it's going to be a very subtle change.
Okay.
So I want your thumbs to kind of track along the side of the kneecap. And how we're going to get that into position is two ways. I can't see your feet, but they look like your center. What I want you to change first is you're going to take this hip position from here and go to here. So the input stays the same. You're still going to push the ground away from underneath you with your leg drive. You're still going to drive. But what's going to happen is your quads are going to lift it off the floor, and then your hamstrings are going to take over a lot sooner. So what you should feel is acceleration coming in at a harder rate, at a much faster rate, because you're now getting into a point in the pool where you can get a collective chain, hamstring, glute, involved into that to pull your hips through. Versus using your quads and waiting till you get clearance to get your hips through.
You just stand up. Yeah, okay.
Your hips through.
Okay. So do you want me to lean forward?
What was that?
Do you want me to lean forward a bit?
No. I will show you. So you are in this position.
Yes.
This is all you're changing. I don't want you leaning forward. I want you to just bring your hips up. And then driving from there.
Okay.
It's literally probably a matter of like 2-3 inches. It's going to be subtle, and it's going to take some ironing out and getting used to. But when you stand up with the weight, once it breaks the floor, I want you to focus on speeding up. So you can have a hard input off the floor, but I don't want you to jerk the bar off the floor because that pulls us out of position. So your input off the floor is patient and smooth. That's great. That's strong. But after that starts moving, speed it up. Ingrain that power at the weight where you can create speed, because it won't be fast on heavy stuff, but you're still that same acceleratory input to try and speed it up, even though it technically doesn't. It's the same way to say lift lightweight like it's heavy, hit it hard. You're strong. We can just milk a little bit more out of your positioning.
Yeah, I was focusing on the brace because in Tal you said that I do like a little jerk before I start. So yeah, I have to get.
I
used to
remember, which is why one of the first things I said was your brace looked fantastic. You nipped that in the bud right away. That was great.
Right.
We just need to get your hip position better.
Yeah. Do you want me to try to do like a real deadlift? I haven't done that in a while because it just feels awkward to me. Like I love the trap bar because it's simpler. That's
I will say this. Conventional deadlift will always increase your trap bar deadlift. But a trap bar deadlift will not necessarily elevate your conventional pull. Because of, simply put, this is easier.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Because of the bar and its leverage, right? If the bar's in line with our center, which our center on a conventional deadlift is over our midfoot, our input to power. So that bar and where we grab it is already here. On a conventional pull, our leverage is now less in our favor. So it attacks. This all has to do way more work. Basically, everything from the back of your head to your heels has to work harder on a conventional deadlift because of this simple change. It's a matter of, is it easier to carry a bucket here, or is it easier to carry a bucket here? Right? If you carry it here for some time, you're going to be like, man, my back and glutes are cooked because it taxed the leverage. But when it comes to just building an incredibly strong posterior chain, conventional deadlift is king, if that's your goal. I'm not saying, and I'm careful when I say this because I'm not discrediting a trap bar deadlift. There's nothing wrong with it. When it comes to performance, example, when I do my coaching for the preseason for the high school athletes, preseason, I have them conventional pulling. In season, I have them trap bar deadlifting. Because we have all this time to focus on strength and solely strength. And then now their bodies are required additional output by baseball practice and playing the game individually. So now there's more demand on their body. So I don't need to create more risk with a conventional deadlift because the reward, the gain, isn't there. So, but I still want them hinging and still generating power and still getting stronger. Enter the trap bar deadlift. It's a tool, and it is a valid deadlift option if you just want to be healthy, be strong in a hinge pattern. But if you want to build a brutally strong posterior chain, and when you grab a hold of someone, they know you've got a hold of them, conventional pulls is king. When you squat, you hinge. When you get more carryover to squat with conventional pulls than you do with these because the leverage is similar. So if you want a conventional pull, I'm happy to help you do that. But there's nothing wrong if this is the variation you want to do. It just depends on your goals.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really going for strength, but it's still, I mean, it's more for the looks than anything, to be honest. But yeah.
I mean, if you want to be absolutely bricked up in the glutes, conventional deadlifts, dog.
Still, yeah. All right. Next one.
So if there's no, you just want to be strong in a healthy sense and have some sort of progression with the hinge pattern and not look like you're neglecting, your posterior chain, this is totally fine. It's still real strength. It's not less than, it's just different.
Yeah. All right.
Well done. I can tell you there in that still shot, that was deep enough.
Okay.
But let's see. Yeah. Your second rep was slightly deeper. So what we're looking for, so you can also self-diagnose depth. The play button's in the way. But if you take the top of the kneecap and you draw a straight line to like your hip crease, you are in this rep, you are at depth. Not below, not above, you are at depth.
All right.
Short femur, long torso, aka narrow stance, high bar squat. Your build makes people with long legs, long femurs jealous because you are much more optimized for squat leverage per se.
So how can I?
What?
Yeah, sorry. How can I improve the power?
So by power, you mean speed?
Speed and also the weight over time, yeah.
So power, you don't have power if you don't have speed. So earlier I talked about if you train your warm-up reps outside of like let's say your first or second set, with an empty bar or just 25 pounds on, and we've gone through our warm-ups and now we're getting underneath the bar and we're starting to work up in weight. Those first two sets we're getting moving, making sure our knees don't hurt, shit like that. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 33. I gotta check the oil in the knees before I start putting some gas to the pedal. So after you get through, that empty bar set, the little, warm up tempo stuff, and we start putting weight and we're attacking and working up, you need to input hard. So you're gonna descend like it's heavy and input power like you have 300 pounds or whatever your max squat is. Reason being is when I warm up on squat, I might have 100 and let's say I have 80 kilo on, right? Nothing crazy, but I'm still going to set up and I'm going to pow. And that bar is borderline going to fly off my back. I have to hold it onto my back. But I'm inputting the power and creating the velocity out of the hole. So you'll hear in the strength world something called speed work. The concentric, the up part of the lift is usually about a quarter of a second or less is what signifies speed and velocity on a lift. So to train power, you have to train speed. And we actually had that article recently on Fast Twitch and training speed and this, that, and the other. And you can train speed without having speed work in your program. And it's exactly how I just described. When you're working up and you're inputting that hard input to power and speeding up the rep, accelerating the deadlift and so forth, that's training power. On those working sets where you have 5, 6, 8 reps, whatever, and your first set, say you're fresh, your first set, and it's a set of 8, and the first 5 fly, and you're getting that power before fatigue starts to set in the set. That's training speed. And obviously as fatigue sets in, speed tapers off. That's okay. That's normal. But inputting that power, that hard input, is how we start ingraining that. And it's a very important thing when it comes to the big compound lifts, squat, bench, deadlift, overhead, clean and presses, things of that nature. RDLs, that accelerating on the up and squeezing the glute like I was demonstrating. Power is crucial to the lockout of the deadlift and creating glute power. So hard inputs, accelerating the bar, driving into the bar, not just with your legs, but as you're coming up, you're driving your back into that bar. Demanding power out of your body.
All right. That's great. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Here's Richard. For anyone on the West Coast side of the states, the Santa Monica Classic is this upcoming weekend. I'm not competing, but I'm the head ref this year. So if you guys, any of you guys are in or near California, I will be on the pier. Come say hi, come watch some strongman, by the way.
Oh, man, I wish I could. One time, maybe 1 year.
Can have an international meetup for the UK guys.
Isn't that what we just did?
Like across the pond, not Europe.
Oh. Richard, these are good. We're getting a little bit out of position. And I don't think it's due to our hip position. I think it's you're inputting and you're not maintaining the position with the brace here. So it's subtle. You see how that starts to cave a little bit and then your hips travel as the bar breaks. Focus on that brace, really stabilize right here. Slow this down a little bit. You had good lat pack. You pitched forward right there. That's the culprit. You input, but you pitch forward. You can even see watch the plate. It rolls. Look, you're rolling forward, puts you out front, puts your shoulders past the bar, hips kick up, and then you two-piece it. So that means you need to stand up together. If you're pitching forward, let's see. I want you to input more through the back of your foot than the toe, along with, look at the difference in speed there. I mean, it's very slow, and then it just gets easy. So I want you to come back. I don't want your hips to sit down further, but I want you to come back into your hips, meaning it's all it is going from here to here. And I can wiggle my toes now. I don't know if you can see, but all I did was going from here to here into that midfoot. So I just pitched my weight back a little bit more. And I think we should be able to see a difference in your pull there. Look at that lat spread. You're building a beefy back, Danielson. Fuck, I saw Daniel. God, he's got his rack position dialed. Again, here's another one that was complaining about pain. And I mean, this dude, Richard, just relentlessly, he's got one of the best racks in the form checks. And he went from never doing this before. So it is possible. Your actual squat pattern, I like your foot width. I have no issue with it. Knees are traveling out. There's no collapse. I'd like to see you fight up into the bar with that upper back a little bit more. So in that rack position, I want you to input like you're spreading your elbows apart, even though when you actually visually see it, it's going to look like this because you can't, because you're holding the bar. That's the really only thing I want to see immediately. His back squats come a long way too. A little bit forward on that. And I know you felt it. I know for a fact you felt that. And completely fixed it. Second rep. Sometimes we miss groove shit. It happens. Look at that. That's power. Look at that firing about the hole. Boom. That bar getting light. I mean, absolutely nailing these. So look at him lifting his toes at the top. That was a cue I gave him to give the physical sensation of him not, he used to squat to his toes. So to get him into his midfoot and back, when he's standing with the weight or descending, he started lifting his toes so he can make sure he was inputting into the floor right with his feet. I want a more exaggerated hinge. So I want you to push your hips back further and really drive that belly button out in front of you. I want to see you exaggerate it to the point where I see extension. And I want to see you get into extension first, light load. I want you doing this in extension. And then I want you to dial it back from extension. So this is extension into neutral. And then execute from there. So with those RDLs, stiff leg deadlifts, I want you to really push that butt far back behind your heels. Like Adam has a cue that's become one of my favorites. It's a good analogy. Using you're trying to push a door closed behind you. Good. Jeff, fantastic squat. When you feel it stall in that mid portion, I want you to actively drive back into the bar with your back. I want you to fire into it. Those are good. That was a good effort level on. He barely got that last rep. That's high effort. Andres, you here? All right. So with these, this is a matter of you've got right idea, you've got bad timing. So you're using a little bit of body English, fine. But watch the sequence of you're not really using it. You're swinging them with your arms without inputting. It's like you've done it backwards. So you're coming down forward to use some body English, but you're going this, and then they're flipping up. So we don't want to create a circle. We want to snatch them. We want to flick them up. We actually want to pull up and flick. So if we're going to come forward in that hinge to get a little bit of help from momentum, we want to use that first and then catch. We don't want to go, You're working against you're making it harder. You're creating a big arc, weight's getting further away from that center. We want up. So we don't want to come down and then swing and then come up mid-swing. If we're going to come down, I want you to brace here. You don't need to go as far. All you need is a little bit of this. It's just a little bit. You brace, bit, and you flick, shrug, pull, flick. And then when you put it all together, it's bit. I didn't come all the way down here. Deeper isn't always better when it comes to explosive. That's the trick to power as well. It's not how big of a range of motion we can get. It's about how fast we can go from 0 to 60 in car terms. So I don't need to get to 100. I don't need to come all the way down here and blow through my acceleration into my horsepower. Horsepower is how fast you can go. Power, torque, is how fast you can get there. So how fast can we get to that top speed? So I want to be able to hit hard and explode. If we necessarily need momentum in that range of motion, it's shallow, it's fast, it's explosive, it's efficient. So we have less arc, more flick, like a jump and shrug. Good setup, taking his time, unrack, stand straight up, finds his place. Brilliant. Good power. The heel elevation's working for you. I just need you to sit deeper. That's like your last big piece to the puzzle. We get you sitting deeper. I mean, you're right there. Like you've got to go like another inch or two. But your actual position has gotten better through that heel elevation. There's April. Yes. She's completely arrested that slight forward roll she had before she started her squats. Did it right there. And her heels came up slightly. April, like literally 90% of your set, and I know you could feel it when it happened because I could see you actively input against it, which is a good thing. But the majority of your set, you didn't do it. Especially that first rep, which was normally your biggest culprit. And it was pretty. You just sat straight down, and it was fantastic. That's great to see. Your first rep on squats was always your biggest enemy. And you nailed it. Okay, first of all, I've never personally seen a Planet Fitness with actual racks and barbells, and I want to know where the hell y'all are finding these.
It's in Jacksonville. We just got them a few months ago.
I've only ever seen them with leg presses and Smith machines.
Yeah, we just they upgraded a whole bunch of new equipment in our Planet Fitness. It's super awesome.
You know what I think's doing it? I think Crunch has become massive, and they do racks. They do power racks because we just had a Crunch move in one of the towns near here, like literally the next block over from Planet Fitness, and I think Planet Fitness was sweating.
Yeah, I think that's what happened too, because we just had a Crunch that opened in, I think it was February.
Yep.
And that's probably about when we got our free weight racks.
Yep. Okay. This is a conventional pool, not a stiff leg or RDL or anything, right?
Right.
All right. We want more leg drive. You are basically stiff leg deadlifting this. which is why this part, your midsection, your lumbar, is doing a ton of work, and you're collapsing, which in turn leads to a difficult and a soft lockout. Meaning, you see, I can see your hips. I don't even need to be able to see your hips because I can tell by your back angle. See those soft knees? See that quad angle? It means your hips are going to be somewhere back here, which are slightly behind. It's called a soft lockout. So, we want to end up shoulders, hips, and knees stacked on top of each other, squeezing our glutes at the top. With that being said, from the ground up, we need to get more leg drive.
Okay.
And we don't want to lift this with our back. We don't. Our back is load bearing, meaning our legs and our glutes are the main drivers in this to get it to the point where the back and the lower back actually do a little something towards the top. So you're going to drop your hips. So you see how as soon as you input, you fold and your hips go away from you?
Right.
So if you watch this little bit there, your shoulders basically collapse in, your hips go back, and you input and create a ton of torque here. Long term, we don't want that. It will piss, it's not when, it will piss your back off. So what we want to do is we want to use these big old meat hawks right here called legs. They're strong.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is this position, your setup isn't bad. You're close. It's just you don't have how to input down correct yet. Your setup, getting tension. So what we're going to do is actually we're going to bend our knees some more. We're going to drop our hips, but we don't want to drop them in and forward. We want to drop them in and back. And when we're near that position, look for feeling some tension through the hamstring.
Okay.
And I don't want you to lift with your back. For it to come off the floor, I want you to think about pushing the ground away out from underneath you with your legs. And then as the bar comes over the knee, I want you to squeeze the hell out of your glutes and advance your glutes to the bar. But the whole time, have you watched the bracing video in the masterclass?
I have, yeah. Do I need to watch it again?
I do. And what I want you to do, I don't remember, in that video, do I do the exercise where you lay on the floor with a plate on your stomach?
I think so, yes.
All
Because
right.
I've seen that somewhere.
So before you deadlift, the last thing I want you to do before you start setting up, and I want you to lay on the floor, put that weight, and I want you to put those fingers underneath your back. And when you get that air and fill your section up, and when you bear down, that's when you bear down, you should feel your back expand down into your fingertips.
Okay.
That core and that squeeze, that head pressure, if you get head pressure just from bracing, it means you're squeezing.
Okay.
So that squeezing is the load bearing I'm talking about. That bracing of the abdomen and the core is what supports this and allows us to keep it neutral. If we exceed a weight where we can't do that for now, because I want you to learn positioning before we start deadlifting with flexion, I'm gonna build you to a technical efficiency that when you do have hard, grindy reps, your body's prepared for them. Your body's prepared for the flexion. It has the strength to pull through it without injury. But I don't want us to train in a realm of flexion, because it doesn't tax the muscle the systems needed to bear the weight when we're in flexion. So training in that technical proficiency makes us stronger when we get out of position. So we're going to drop the hips, bend the knee, push ourselves back into the glutes. We should feel some tension here. And I want you to activate that setting of the back with that pushing the belly button out to the floor and turning our tailbone to the sky. So if I'm pulling and I'm going here, it means I'm not I'm not bearing down. So when I pull in that tension, and this is what I mean by pushing myself into my hips. When I pull, I physically use the bar to pull myself down into tension. So if I'm grabbing the bar, the first thing I personally do when I set up is I grab it, I get my air, and I push myself down into my glutes. And I feel tension at a certain point. I know I'm in position, I can drive. So when I get that air, if for people that are proficient in their setup, you'll see them get air up top and go right down and pull. Totally fine. But we got to take our time a little bit here. You don't want to dick around in the hole, but we want you to get comfortable. So going to get down, get my grip, and I'm going to pull my belly button to the floor. And you see that lumbar set.
Right.
So pulling ourselves into our hips is the cue I use to turn that tailbone to the sky and push our belly button to the floor. And then I bear down into it and I keep it. I hold on to it for dear life. The entirety of the lift.
Awesome.
Any questions on that?
Nope. I'm excited for Tuesday to try to deadlift that way.
I'm looking forward to it. A little forward. That was the main culprit there. Your setup isn't bad. There's a lot of depth to conquer here. We're going to get you way lower. Because depth is justified by hip position. So you see how you're folding basically down to the pins and not actually sitting?
Right.
We want you to sit. We don't want you to fold. So again, your brace is going to be a big culprit here. And knowing when that is holding and knowing when it's not. So if our brace is folding, we actively shouldn't be able to. Our brace is holding, we shouldn't be able to fold it.
Okay.
So we're going to elevate, we're going to bring your pins up a little bit. This is a common thing I do is I work you down to depth with your pin squats. So we get comfortable at each stage and then we drop a pin or two, and then we're at our bottom. So let's bring let's maybe go up a hole. And
okay.
I want you to work on sitting down to the depth and not folding. So you're going to brace and you're going to sit down. So for you,
right.
Normally you're doing this correctly. You're starting at the bottom. But for now, because it's a squat mechanic issue, on the first set of your pin squats, I want you to start out of the rack and come down to the pins.
Okay. For my workups or my main sets?
Your workups and your first main set.
Okay.
Every set after that starts from the pin up. And what this is doing is we're getting you in the right pattern. And then we can start working down from there progressively through the program. So from your workups, I want you squatting down to the pins, pausing, and I want you moving slow. 3 to 5 seconds down. Brace.
Okay.
1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Now, it's going to be a higher squat. So 3 seconds will probably make more sense than 5 because of just the range of motion. And then once we get this pretty buttoned up, tied up with a ribbon, we're going to drop a pin or two.
Awesome.
So sit back to your heels mid-foot and sit down with your hips. Don't fold.
Okay.
All right. Rolanda, you had a question.
I do. What the heck is the point of a pin squat? Because I only just do short on time on repeat, but I am super curious because I see people doing them. So why?
To make you ask questions. So the reality of a pin squat has a few functions, and it depends on, much like anything with this, it's the context of where it's being applied. So if someone has a weak point at any part, this is one of them. A weak point in the chain in the range of motion of squatting. So say, Rebecca, do you go by, I saw it says Becky, do you prefer Becky?
Yeah.
So Becky here is using them right now. How I'm having her apply them is to build squat mechanics in a more palatable portion versus if you were here at the beginning when I was breaking down Amelie's clean and press, and I have her going, instead of cleans, I have her going down to high pulls, a more smaller chunk of information. Same thing I'm doing with Becky is I'm reducing what I'm asking of her body to do because we don't have the whole picture in muscle memory, if you will. So I'm condensing it down to a shorter range of motion because I want her to sit into the pin. So another aspect of pin squats is, say we have a weak point in the lift. Say Becky has, if she was squatting full range of motion, somewhere around the middle, she stalls and has to really fight through it. That's where I'd have her do pin squats to attack specifically a weak point in that squat. The other is, another one is training depth. So say Becky has she's squatting full range of motion, and now she's sometimes too deep, sometimes too low. We get where her sweet spot and full depth is, and we do the pin squats from that position. So now she knows what that depth is from a starting point. So when she arrives at it, I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes it feels different for everyone. There's just a sensation. How do I say this? I've never had to put this into words. So when I know I'm set up in a deadlift, it's like there's a sensation in my body. It's like we're here. Like I'm where I'm supposed to be. I feel certain things in my body. When I'm throwing bags and I have one that I know, I'm like, that was a fucking good one. Like, it's just this sensation where the bag felt lighter. It felt like it had a lot of velocity coming up out of my hands. Like, I know that one is going to the moon. So it's the same thing when you build that muscle memory and your nervous system knows, because that's ultimately is what gets you where you need to be, is your nervous system telling your body where to move from the brain. So when it comes to pin squats, it is a multi-tool. It is a variation of the squat. It is something you can use to break down the squat, to train depth, to teach the squat as a whole, to work on a weak spot. But ultimately, when you're starting from a dead stop on anything, it's harder. So pin squats, how they're formally done is you start off the pins and go up. So you're starting from the bottom. So you're not getting a chance to build this tension on the way down the whole way and drive out of the tension you've accumulated. So you have to get in position and fire. So generating, it is very just ground level strength and power work. Being able to generate the tension from a dead stop and going from there. It is a very common tool with strength focused work. Yes.
Made total sense. Thank you. I've just been seeing them the last, because I might miss your live Zooms, but I watch every recording and I'm like, because it just looks uncomfortable to get into it. So I'm like, I don't think I'm going to want to do those, but was curious.
The underlying
It is very uncomfortable.
We actually just hate you guys when it made things harder. That'd be terrible if someone just chimed in on that piece of context. The first thing they heard on one of these is, we hate you. All right. Okay, so this is what I was telling Andres to do. Justin is doing them exactly as I was. It's a very subtle little flick with his full body. I call it body English, getting a little bit of momentum. And you see he's not swinging them way out in front of him. He's keeping them as close as possible and just kind of flicking them up into that position. Well done, Justin. Pressing over his head, pretty much in ear line. So when he goes into the press portion, look at that. It's directly over his body. Nice straight line from butt to knuckle. Here you go, Rolanda. More pin squats. Jonathan, these are much better. Jonathan, for early on in his squat, we struggled with depth and finding that depth. Pin squats have really put a dent in that, in a positive way. Has really chipped away at progress here, and getting him more and more at. He's got long limbs, so he is now just above, maybe about an inch or two, just above that hip line and kneecap. So he's still high, but we're getting down progressively. And these have looked, that input was great. His hips didn't, a lot of times what you see with pin squats is hips will shoot up because we're unfamiliar with that dead stop coming out of the hole first. So if you watch when he inputs, boom, right into the bar. He drove into the bar, and they force you to drive into the bar, not just with your legs, but with your whole body to fight against that stagnation without that reactive tension. So, Jonathan, these are really good. You're not folding down into the bar. I think it would be suitable if you dropped a hole here and we pushed depth a little bit further on these. Well done. Some deficit deadlifts. Squeeze that lockout, Jonathan. All right. I want you to also actively drive your knees outward over your pinky toes. Sweet. Avoid any shift. Driving those knees out creates glute activation. If any of you are standing upright and you point your toes out slightly, and you'll notice it's way easier to, let me start that over. If you're standing straight up, try pointing your toes straight or even slightly pigeon-toed. Try and squeeze your butt. Now point them slightly out and then try and squeeze your butt. Guarantee you it's way easier. So when we activate that knee drive outward coming out of the hole, it avoids any opportunity for our hips to get loose and shift because our glutes are what are cueing our knees to fire out. So Jonathan, I want you to actively drive your knees out. A cue I like to use for physical feedback is your arms are coming right down on the outsides of your knees anyway. Drive your knees out till you feel them touch your arms on either side, and you'll know you're doing it. With the deficits, you might need a little bit lower of a butt position. So we get more leg drive. And I want you to hold that brace. You did it kind of at the beginning. And then so what makes me think that the whole knee thing as well is a glute issue is look how soft your lockout is. What forces the lockouts are glutes. So I want to see more out of your glutes. So I want us driving the knees out, squeezing the butt, and firing through. Out front. Yep. So what indicated out front is watch when he pulls, this bar swings towards him. Boop, ever so slightly. You can even see the plates turn. Right there. Look at that. Look at that bar travel backwards towards him. So out front, what happens is when you get out front, your hips kick up and back, creating even further separation. Now that's put you behind the bar, so the bar has to swing back towards you to create a straight line, gravity always tells the truth because it's predictable. If you hold a weight on a string, it's always going to return to center eventually. It's going to create a perfectly straight line from the top of that string to the weight. Your arms and your shoulder, top of the string, the barbell is the weight at the bottom of the string. So when it's heavy and you are not in groove, the bar is going to swing one way or another. So him being out front on this, the bar swung towards him. So Jonathan, what that means is you need to set up, I want you to start by setting up closer. I don't want you to change position yet. I think ultimately we will, but it will be subtle because your hips kick up. A brace doesn't really hold, which I think is part of it. Picks up back there, so it's not catastrophic. But I want you to set up a little bit closer. And I want you to sit back into those hips. That same cue, pushing that belly button to the floor, turning our tailbone to the sky. Another Planet Fitness of free weights. This is crazy. This is the most I've ever seen it. You are far away from this, Josh. So I want you to get close and sit back. So we have an aggressive ankle to shin angle here, which would be, this would make more sense if you were at the bottom, but we're halfway up. So I want you to step closer and I want you to sit back more into your midfoot and heel. See how your butt kicked up and the bar slightly swung in? That's what's telling me you need to be closer and sit back more to create a more straight line with the input to power. Check foot width here. We could probably bring your feet in slightly. Half your foot width, move in each foot. Better. So, Mike, that last, I don't know, 2-3 inches of range of motion. When you get down near that box, watch what happens to your, see that? From your waist up, you are creating more, I'm sorry, you are folding, essentially. So it's giving the feeling of I'm sitting deeper, but in reality, your hips don't move. It happens so fast. It's hard to, right there. See that? We're collapsing. We're creating the sensation of squatting through the midsection torso actually folding versus you keeping that upright and continuing to lower at the hip, the sitting part. So I want you to create tension with that midsection. I want you to brace, then squat. And I know we started this off with putting our arms out in front of us, which can help initially. But now that we're getting the hang of this, I don't need you to necessarily do this because I want to create tension as if we're having weight on our back. So we can bring our arms in, and I want you to squeeze and create some rigidness, a lot of rigidness from our shoulders to our hips. So there isn't any sag or fold in that midsection towards the bottom range of motion. These have gotten much better. Well done on these. I am very happy with how these progress, Mike. Well done. Much more stable. The movement pattern is very clean, where you're supposed to be. Kickstand, SDLs. Let's see. These are good. I want to see more front foot heavy. Again, the kickstand is exactly that. It is just stabilizing. So to generate more front foot heavy, I want you to take that kickstand side hip, and I want you to actively drive it forward. So what tends to happen is people naturally open up in that hip to descend, and it reduces the work of the hamstring, the glute on the loaded side. So what we're going to do is naturally, as you step back, your hips open up. I want you to keep it square. Actively drive it forward. It's going to feel like you're twisting, but you're not. You actively drive it forward, and then you sit back into that hinge. And what you're going to feel is that hamstring of this stiff leg light up much sooner. You're going to feel tension much sooner than that. So it's actually squaring our hips up so our hips stay neutral all the way across. Your hinge, though, the actual hinge, the upper back, everything, the way your hips glide back to front is fantastic. Top quarter. Oh, she got some weight on there. That's what I like to see. Top quarter squats. They're a heavy variation. That's that overload that I was talking about with Ian. The first rep, it looked like a little bit of a shock because you folded, but you fixed it. You're doing a great job of sitting down with the weight. I think you could have done more weight. I think you can push those a little bit.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but is the setup for this good? Because I ran Maximize Your Strength once before, and it's only at the end, so I haven't done these much.
No, the setup's great. You nailed these setup and execution wise.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna move to the little. They have a smaller squat rack, which has the space between the pins are more adjustable for me because it was on this rack. It's either too high or too low.
This looked perfect. This range of motion. So this first rep, it looked like the weight was a little bit of a shock because if you notice, you'll fold on this first one ever so slightly to get down to the pin.
Yeah, getting it off the pins. Like I think the pins need to be like another inch lower for me. So like I have to kind of go up, and I'm sort of barely. Like I'm not quite on tippy toes, but I really have to stretch up tall to get it off the rack.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah. I think that's why the first one was so weird.
The range of motion and the portion that you're moving, your execution is great.
Okay.
Go heavier.
Okay.
I'll be emailing. It's Father's Day, and I'll be emailing Zach over at Liberty tomorrow. I won't be.
Yeah,
I'll be calling him.
I'm in no hurry.
Yeah, I'll be calling.
I appreciate
I'll be
you
giving
doing
him a
that.
call tomorrow and letting him know. And then I'll get his email to you and make the introduction.
Okay.
I will reach out tomorrow and get on top of that so he can kind of go over what to expect, powerlifting and everything stuff with him in person and work on, command. Basically what I think the introduction, I'll discuss it with him. What I think for you, knowing what to expect in a powerlifting meet, getting you set up on a competition style bench, experiencing that, feeling it, him going over the commands with you in person, lift, unrack, squat, all that stuff. So you know exactly how to implement it into your training.
Yeah, all that would be so helpful.
Yes. You'll like Zach. He's a gem. He's like I call him a golden retriever of humans. He's a new gym owner too. He was the GM at Liberty when I was there, and Rich moved to Oklahoma and sold the gym to Zach. And Zach has done a fantastic job. There's a great community there. It is my home gym away from home. I miss that place dearly. Tomas is at the meetup as well. Yes, I was talking about the elbows on these overhead tricep work being tucked and not letting them fall out and kind of almost turning into a press. He's doing this perfectly. He's keeping those elbows together and high and really really forcing the triceps to load here. Well done, man. So he's doing some heel elevated hinge stuff because he's had some knee issues and it's been established that this takes some of the pressure off that knee for him, which makes sense. It changes the angle of torque when you hinge going into the joint. It's why I squat in lifters. It takes some pressure off my hips. So for those of you that, in case there's any questions, advise you doing heel elevated stuff with hinge deadlift work. This is why. It's a personal, individualized thing. It's not a collective. Well done. I mean, he hinges great. Good squeeze. Little bit of an ISO hold there. Totally fine. Adds a little to the time under tension. Good eccentric. Keep that chest proud. So when you do squeeze, we don't squeeze up and in. We squeeze the back together. Beautiful. Pretty strict as well. Great job, Ian. Yeah. Found it on the last one. That is pretty close to triple extension. The timing is much more optimal here than we saw. This is what I'm gonna try and get Amelie to do with these high pulls is sort out the timing of when the sequence of triple extension happens. So what we're seeing here, he's doing a really good job of getting leg drive involved from a hang clean position. Totally valid option. Gets down into position and then explodes through his legs and then jumps into that triple extension. Hips come through. See how his shoulders are slightly, he's just getting right into that triple extension. When you'll see with people that are a little bit more experienced with this, see a little bit more of the hips coming through. A little bit more exaggerated. But this is what I want to see out of hang cleans. I want to see you guys getting into that extension. The upper body's going to come back, get out of the way of the barbell, which we could get a little bit more of, which will allow hips to come through a little bit further. But if you look at the timing of when he is getting onto his toes, See how the knees are at extension and the bar's already in motion and traveling up, and it's starting to transition to the point where you'd start the clean of the landing. This is what we want to see. He might be getting on his toes a little early, but it's subtle. It's a precise, again, precision. It's a very fine-tuned skill. So Dan, we could maybe get a little bit more extension out of this. Really fire through, getting those hips through, exaggerating that high pull. But you are absolutely on the right track. If I wasn't being picky, this is how you did your high pulls the rest of your life, it's totally okay. But that's not my job. We can milk a little bit more out of this. And you definitely got more in the tank, but great job. I will probably stop at 70 today because it's been 2.5 hours, and then I will open it up to a Q&A. Jimmy, good job. The only thing, because when it gets heavy, I think it will heavier for you when it will more likely apply. How you're in this, collapse position with your chin and your neck. I think you treat it like a deadlift. Get down into that position and get neutral with the chin and the neck. Versus here, everyone saw that. I caught that. Most of the time they just hit the floor, and I pray they don't break. When we get into this position and we're neutral, we're less likely to, as we get tired, when my neck curls, right? Watch what is more likely to happen in my back. My spine will follow. So if we get here, it is much more conducive to maintaining neutral when our chin is in that neutral position, because what is our neck? It's part of our spine. Otherwise, your actual row looks great. I bet front racking a Swiss bar or a cheater bar like that probably sucks because it's not uniform pressure across. These are pretty good. This is not a bad, we're at maybe a hair high. But generally this is pretty good. You are very long femored. So this is why we're seeing a much more higher of an angle at the hip because of the distance from the hip to the knee. So there has to be more angle to keep this over midfoot because essentially her hips are further away from her knee. That's what that boils down to. So this is why we don't see her more upright like we did with Mark earlier. He had that short femur. It's much easier to maintain an upright position because our hips are closer to where a lot of the leverage happens here in the knee. So in turn, it creates a higher torso position because if you were folded over like this with a shorter femur length, that would put the bar way out in front of you. So this is a game of leverage, right? With that being said, I can't tell, but I think with a little bit of heel elevation, I think you're going to notice a difference. I think depth is going to feel a little bit easier, and I think the squat position is going to feel more comfortable. So put your heels on some, they might be, I just can't see. Let me see if I can see her step on something. It looks like they might be. I just can't tell. But I want to see you push for slightly more depth is the main thing here. And then we'll work from there. Not confident. Well, I imagine not, because you've been conventional pulling for a while. So Carly is currently running a conjugate, which will be introduced to the app. Conjugate method is was made popular by Westside Barbell. It's a very popular thing with powerlifting, strongman, building maximal strength. It's going to be an advanced level. There will be things you have to do at advanced level for this, I think, is the intention, is available because of the way the effort undulates. You're going to be pushing maximal effort much more frequently. So that is why it will require an more advanced level exposure of a lifting to do this because of the way conjugate undulates effort. Typically has maximal effort days with speed days. It is my personal favorite, and what I personally respond the best for maximal effort to conjugate. And it is one of my favorites to throw at someone that's really just trying to bump up their maximal, the 1 rep maxes and build that brute static strength. Conjugate is brilliant for it. Carly, these don't look bad. They just look foreign. I can see that it is uncomfortable, but it's not bad. I'm really pleased to see you didn't go stupid wide on the sumo. So we haven't seen a lot of sumo pulling here. Without getting into the politics on sumo versus conventional, in my personal opinion, sumo, I don't do it because it's not allowed in strongman. It is allowed in powerlifting. But with her training block, there is some sumo exposure. Reason being, with powerlifting style training, a lot of sumo pullers will pull conventional in their off season or between competitions, and a lot of conventional pullers will pull sumo. Sumo creates essentially less torsion on the lumbar and creates a much more quad dominant pull than it does hamstring or glute, even though hamstring or glutes are still a very big portion of the lift. It is just a different technique for deadlifting. The argument here is sumo is easier, which is not. She's still deadlifting. It's just different. With that being said, it does create a shorter range of motion, but you still got to lift the damn weight. So if you see someone pulling sumo, it's not necessarily easier. It's just different. Some people are stronger at it than conventional. It's their preferred method of pulling. This is being used to assist and create high effort with less lumbar torsion and create more quad power to assist her conventional pull. That is the implementation of it in the program she is running. With that being said, the only thing I really want you to focus on here, Carly, I'm okay with the setup. I don't want to change it too much. When you input, watch what happens with your butt. Even from the front, we can see you're inputting, your butt's rising, the bar isn't moving. It means we're wasting leg drive. And you're in turn creating more hamstring, glute, and lower back taxation. You're asking more of the same muscle you would use in conventional pulling. Why is this not surprising? Because you are a conventional deadlifter. Your body is trying to use what it is used to prioritizing, the main movers of the conventional. So what I want from you on your sumo days is I want you to keep your butt in a position where it doesn't rise. I don't want you to start it higher because then we aren't using our quads as much. I want you to fight for this position here. I want you to fight to keep that chest up, fight to keep the butt down, and think about pulling the floor apart out from underneath you with those quads. Fight to stay in position. You're gonna feel it here, but what in turn the sumo deadlift will do what it's supposed to do and tax the lower back less and hit your quads more. This will translate to your conventional pull. Likely, where we'll see it is you're out of the whole power. High pulls. I want you a little bit wider on the grip so you can get that extension and that rise out of the bar without being limited because you're inside. So get just outside your shoulders with your grip. And I really want to see extension happen. Make it explosive, Brighton. Make it violent. Not bad, just some adjustments to make it more efficient. Set your lumbar for me. Strong pull. Strengthen the issue. Position. Good brace. So we want to get more out of your brace. What I mean by that is this part of you right here, this where the belt is. What I want to see you do with that lumbar in that position is I want to see you go from here in slight flexion, and I want you to push that belly button to the floor to create neutral and hold on to it for dear life. In turn, that will tilt your pelvis, tailbone, to the ceiling, pushing your belly button out to the floor. Luckily, you got a strong brace, so it didn't collapse even further, which is good news. Unclutching. My fingers tend to unclutch. I'm not sure what that means. Fingers tend to unclutch.
Based on the fact that I live in a bilingual area, but I'm not, Nick, I think he means like his fingers are probably starting to like he's thinking clench, but like, do you know what I mean? Like his hooks.
Like they're straightening out.
Sorry, I muted myself again. I think he means like, yeah, like they're straightening out on him on the bar just because I have been to a gym with people that don't have English as the first language.
Okay. Why? Because you're not actually holding onto the bar in a front squat. You are using them as wedges. So obviously you're not going to be able to finger curl what you can front squat. So my fingers are virtually straight. Like it's literally in this last joint when I'm front squatting for the most part. So that's why they're unclutching. I hate to tell you this, Benoit, but you're overthinking it. It is just the mechanism, the thing that happens because of the method we're using. We can't finger curl that weight. So as long as we're keeping them on and pressed up against the bar and the bar's not able to move forward, that's what that's doing. It's acting as if you have a chalk block to a wheel that's trying to roll downhill, your fingers are the chalk block, so it can't roll. That's literally all it's doing. It's keeping it wedged in. So I don't need the bar in your fingers and clutch. I need it like literally, that's what my fingers look like on a front squat. Your form? Let's see. Looks fucking awesome. You've worked hard on these. Your form looks great. Your little clutchling claws are not changing this at all, and you don't need to put really any further thought into that. Think less, move more. Well done, Benoit. All right. I'm going to open up the floor to a Q&A. Does anyone have questions? And there you go. Straight into it. Hit me.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, whenever there's no rush, but whenever you get to my deadlift video, I put on it that my grip is now toast. I listened to you. I put more weight on the bar. I think I'm over my fear of weight on the bar, but of course it's 150 pounds total. But of course now my grip is like, I could do it because I'm at the end of my program and it's 3 reps, but I would like to repeat the program and obviously progress. Do I just go to grips right away to increase the weight on the
Did
bar?
you ask that to Jen in the chat?
Can I ask it? I will. Yep.
No. Did you, was that, I responded to Jen tagged me. Someone asked almost identical question and I responded to it. And I just don't remember if it was you or not.
No, it wasn't, but I can try to find it.
No. It's fine. I have it here.
Okay.
It takes way less time to just answer it. Your posterior chain will always be stronger than your grip. Way bigger muscles, way more of them, and they're better producing power. You're gonna out deadlift your grip, plain and simple. It's not uncommon. Deadlift without straps as long as you can to keep progressing your grip, and then I don't want you missing reps because you didn't strap up. So say you have a 3x10 and you get through the first 2 sets. First set, no problem with grip. Second set, 9 and 10, you felt it starting to go. You know that your grip's going to fail in the third set. Strap up on the third set. Or what you can do, if you really want to get nitpicky, is have your straps on your wrists, and when the rep before you know your grip's going to fail, strap up and finish the set. But to avoid having to break up the set, if you get to a point where you know your grip is likely going to fail in the next set, just strap up at the start of that set.
Okay, will do. Thank you. I mean, I knew my grip is terrible. I just thought I could maybe get a
Are
little
you double
further
overhanding
before
or mixed gripping it?
No, I had to switch because I broke this elbow. So this one is over and my right hand is under. Okay. And I like at 150, I'm like, WTF. Like that happened real fast.
Yep. Well, you switched it, so that also might incorporate it as it needs time to catch up.
Fair, because you commented on my by like keeping my elbow straight, and not just my elbow, sorry, but my arm. But I think because of that break, I just can't like physically, mentally get my arm straight. So by having it over, it stays straight. So I'm forever gonna have to switch, I think, because I just got to get over the fear of having so much weight on the bar.
You have new problems now. Ian, go ahead.
Hey, Nick. So I'm still running Maximize Your Strength. This is almost, I've got 1 week left of second time through. All my tendons are protesting at me now. Hamstring, knee, elbow, something in my pec and shoulder. Is it wise to maybe take a break from Maximize Your Strength and focus more on hypertrophy type training for a period?
1,000%. 1,000%. And I'm so glad you brought that up. At the end of my strongman season, my shit hurts. Things that didn't hurt when I started. And we go into a 4-week block of, I don't do a single compound lift.
Okay.
I'm not telling you not to do that. That's what my body needs, because I just spent 9 months getting stronger in and out of prep, coming down a week off deload, starting another prep for another 10-week block, whatever it is. I've pushed. And then we go into probably about 3 months of off season where I typically, the first 4 weeks, I'm training like a bodybuilder. I'm doing hack squats. I'm doing a lot of curls, a lot of tricep work, a lot of dumbbell RDLs, a lot of things that require less load, high tempo, reps between 8 and 12, 15, sometimes 20. We run a lot of anaconda method. That doesn't mean anything to you, but it has a shitload of reps. That's the 20. And it's all about getting a pump in, making the body feel good, reducing the inflammation. So yes, you absolutely can go and run like a 3-4 week block of hypertrophy focused stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Because yeah, like I say, it's the first time I've really focused on strength, and everything's starting to get a bit angry.
No, that is good intuition that you probably wouldn't have a year ago, because you've been doing this. So this is a really good sign as a coach that you're learning, and now you know moving forward. Because all I needed to do was reassure you. You had the right idea, but you weren't sure if it was right, and all I had to do goes, yeah, that's exactly right.
Cool.
So good on you.
All right. Cool. Thanks. Sorry, there was just one other question, probably a quicker one. Should I be concerned? So when I'm back squatting, like if I body weight squat, I can't get anywhere near as deep as when I've got weight on my back. Is that just normal, or should I be trying to work on
I
my
can get way
mobility?
deeper weight on my back because it like balances me.
Right. Okay.
Without weight on my back,
do
I feel like I tend to fall forward.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yep, normal.
Okay, cool. So not a big red flag for mobility then.
No, it's just
cool.
It's just balance.
All right, cool.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Nick.
Anytime. Nita, hit me.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to tell you, I got some Witten shoes, like you recommended, and I put my arch supports in them, and yeah, it's cool.
They've been great.
Yeah, they work, and but I've got my set of 4 10-pound plates to go with my dumbbells, and I already maxed out the first day I used them. Yeah. But I sent in a video with so when you look at it, I felt like maybe my back isn't right in it. And so I need some pointers because I'm gonna order some 20s here before too long and increase that weight. And I know I need to be right before I do that. Because I'm feeling a lot of soreness in the lower back, just above the hips. Is that right? I mean, should I feel that?
You're feeling
and even later that day?
So you feel like your back isn't right doing what exactly?
Deadlift.
Okay. The dumbbell deadlift.
Yes.
Nothing's changed.
No, it's just I haven't done deadlifts in a while because my program didn't have them.
How long's a while?
Month and a half, maybe 2 months.
Okay, 4 weeks. Yeah, I mean, depending on, it feels sore, not like I hurt something.
No, it's just there's a muscle soreness in there, and so I'm trying to make sure I don't hurt something. And I'm wondering if I'm using the wrong part of my back. I mean, am I supposed to use?
I mean,
it sounds like a stupid question, I'm sure, but
primarily hamstring, glute, quad, and
right.
back kind of kicks in right at the end, the top of the lift.
Okay.
But when it comes to load bearing, your back is doing a lot because it has to bear the weight. It's supporting, whereas your legs and glutes are moving the weight. Your back is loaded, but not. It's passive until the very end, and then it's active. Percent is a simple way to put it. So it could be that it's just sore because you've had 4 weeks where you haven't really pushed it in that plane. What you can do is simply back off the weight and add some tempo if it persists. So we feed it more time under tension with less load. So we create activation with less risk. So we condition it and build it without pushing the total tonnage.
Okay.
So
yeah, because I just want to be sure I don't hurt myself.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm having fun with this, and I don't want to have to stop because I get hurt.
No, so yeah, let's just back off the weight for 2 weeks of it. Let's add 4 or 5 count eccentric down, and then fire up as you normally would, and do your reps that way for 2 weeks, and see if there's see what changes, see how you feel, see if soreness starts to dissipate, and then reassess.
Okay. Because the soreness is only like, well, it goes away in a couple of days
Yeah,
if I don't
that's
if I don't
typical
run.
muscle soreness.
So yeah, so it's not like it's, awful, but I just thought maybe this is a warning.
Yeah, it could be very well that. It could just be sore because you haven't had 4 weeks of direct deadlifts. That's it.
Okay. All right. Good.
But
Thank
we can
you.
proceed with caution and still train by doing the tempos and reducing the load.
Okay, I'll try it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Sunil,
Hi, Nick. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm not bad, thank you. Not bad. I have a question about, so when I'm training, my movement and motion is fine, but I'm tending to find like some of my tendons, some of my calves and everything. I'm tending to find in everyday movement that I'm finding a little bit restrictive, like tightness, and in my back and everything as well. So like when I'm itching my back, I've noticed, hang on a minute, I can't anymore reach.
You're jacked, bro.
Well, not yet, but getting there. Hopefully one day I'll get there.
Yeah, so you're using muscles, right? So our bodies are shit wears and tears, right? And when we're asking contraction of it constantly and we're not countering it with recovery, stretching, and mobility, things tighten up. Muscles shorten, if you will, because they contract. So we need to expand and extend those fibers. So we need to contrast the request with the recovery. So that's where the mobility work comes in, is trying to combat that and open it up. So a strong example with what I do when I'm competing is my mobility work is to make sure things recover and don't get worse mobility wise. When I'm in competition mode, I'm not increasing my mobility. I'm trying to prevent it from reducing.
Yeah.
And creating an injury risk. When I'm in off season, I'm trying to increase that mobility to gain that mobility back because my request isn't high, my demand's low, so I can really focus on recovery, mobility, and all of that stuff. So when you're going through this and you're in the program, you're doing all these things, you're demanding a lot. You're getting a lot more contraction out of your muscles than you normally would. And when they don't, let's say this, when we don't remind them to release, they also forget, if you will, for lack of better terms. So you get stiffness, you get aches and pains, everything's connected, right? An example I used because it was shocking when I learned that I was getting a pain in my hamstring where it meets my glute, and it was actually my quad. Because the quad connects up into the hip flexor, your psoas connects into all that mess up front. Your psoas actually runs around in your back, which was pulling on stuff back there, pulling on my glute, and I was feeling it surface in the top of my hamstring. And the culprit was my quad wasn't releasing. So once we established that release the quad, the pain went away immediately. And I thought that was like, no fucking way. That it's on the complete opposite side of my body. This was years ago, and it's still when they released that quad, it was acute. I mean, when they got it to release, it was like poof, gone. I was like, what is this sorcery?
Yeah.
So everything's connected, and when things collectively get tight, it goes up the chain. It waterfalls. It may start at your calf, and then it works, and then next thing you know, man, my hamstring's tight. And you're like, damn, my glute's cramping up, and then next thing you know, like, oh, my back, and it's worked its way up the chain, and you've got to collectively address it, even on your off days. Stretch, move, do stuff right before you get in bed. It's so easy to neglect. I get it. And realistically, if you allot 10, 15 minutes, even outside of training, I guarantee you'll notice a difference. And part of that is this is where self-exploration is a necessity in this. Is I'm not in your body. Yes, if you're getting restriction, getting into a front squat, I can give you a sequence of movements to start with.
Yeah.
What's going to have to happen is you go, okay, this worked good for me. This worked good for me. Let me do some research. Let me try that. That sounds like what I'm feeling. Let me try that and apply. Oh, that worked. I'm going to throw that into the rotation for this issue, right? So just by doing certain things and some research, some YouTube, some Googling and things like that, you can plug and play and experiment, add something, drop something, add something, drop something over the course of years is what's going to give you a built out. You're like, oh man, this is what's going on. I know what this is. I've had this before. I'm going to bring this back into the rotation. That worked last time. Boom. You know how to assess. It's the same thing my PTs do. When that spot in my back flares up, the last time I did, I didn't have to call them because I knew the plan to attack. And within 4 days, my symptomatic reduced by tenfold. And I know, okay, I got about another week period before I can really hit the gas and I got to be careful. But I'm going to keep those movements in because within days, it changed. It opened up range of motion just by doing the things I knew I was supposed to do that worked last time for that exact thing. So
yeah,
you're going to need to. I literally start my workout by rolling out the bottom of my foot on a lacrosse ball and then working up to my neck. Just that pressure, loosening things up, getting the nervous system awake. Then I start stretching I do it from the bottom up for me personally. Some people might do top down. Who knows what the science says on that? I believe it's person to person. For me, bottom up is the way to do it. I start in the back of me because that's typically where most of my tension is, and then I work on the front of me. So you're gonna have to start combating that with recovery and stretching ability and things of that nature. It's gonna be homework.
Are there any sort of tips or any kind of videos or anything that you put up on Instagram or anything that you can recommend, or just go by feel of what I think works and doesn't work?
Well, what's going on?
It's just my whole body. It's my back. I can find limited mobility. Then sometimes my calf. When I'm going downstairs, for example, it's not pain, but I can just feel the motion is not the same in my ankle. You know what I mean? So it feels all tight and stiff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so start from the bottom up. Start. I don't know. Do you guys even have lacrosse in the UK? Can you even get a lacrosse ball?
Yeah, probably. I'm sure.
Any firm ball that is small and can apply acute pressure. Something of a lacrosse ball consistency. They make med balls or rehab balls now that are $20 more than a 6-pack of. You can get a 6-pack of lacrosse balls for $15 here, and then you can go get a recovery ball that is $20 for one. You can go on Amazon and probably order a lacrosse ball. Guarantee it. Start rolling your feet out. Then sit on your butt. Start working on your hamstrings and your calves. Put that lacrosse ball in the back of your calf. Roll it out with your hand. Start massaging it. Put it on your hamstring. Roll it up and down your hamstring, sitting on it. And put on your glute. Glute, you're gonna have to be careful because you're gonna put a bunch of pressure on it for the first time. You're gonna go, what the you're gonna feel your glute try to run from it. I shit you not. Because that acute pressure is foreign, it's sensitive, it's tender because it's tight. You've got muscle tissue, you've got fascia, you've got tendon, you've got you've got a bunch of different things that are tight. So starting there and working up the chain, then going into your stretching, sitting on the floor, trying to touch your toes. I start with dynamic before I go into stretching because the dynamic is a little bit shallower. And it opens it up when I get into the static deep stretching. Example, the first thing I do for my hamstrings is really simple. Anybody who was at the Arnold and saw me warming up for the world record, after I stopped doing the fascia stuff and the rolling, the first thing I did was I started doing these. So I extend my toes pointed up to the sky, and it's creating a stretch already, and I hinge like I'm doing stiff leg deadlift, and I feel it pulling all the way down into my calf right now. And then I eventually roll into flexion, and I feel that radiate all the way up. And it's a very minimal stretch because I'm carrying a lot of tension right now. I just spent stupid amount of hours on an airplane. I'm going to be tight. So my stretching, the plane is shallow. And then I then go from there and I rotate around and I start getting my lower back into the stretching, right? I'm just going from side to side. It's very dynamic. It's rebounding. It's movement. And then I will work my way up. I will grab onto something in front of me or overhead, and I will step back in. I'm simultaneously stretching, my groin, everything, and then I push back, and now I'm stretching up through my lat, through movement and just kind of flowing through it. And then I sit down, I get on the ground, I get into the very deep stretching where I'm holding for 10 seconds and things like that after I've broke the rust off, if you will, at the start of the session. So it progresses, right? It builds. So there's and no one taught me that. It's something I took from 3 different stretches and rolled it up into one. And I was like, here's how I can collectively get this system lengthened before I attack them intensely individually.
Yeah, I get it. So basically, knowing your body and reading it, eventually telling you what works.
Exactly.
Yeah. Many thanks. Thanks for your input. Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Juliana.
Hello again. So hopefully just a quick question. But now that I've done the form check the first time, I'm like, oh, okay, that wasn't so scary. Now I want to do them all. So I've sort of already submitted one for RDL and goblet squats because I've seen so many other people do those. But it was kind of going to be sort of, how do you decide which ones to kind of focus on? Like, because as I say, I kind of want to record all of them, and I know that would take up, way too much time. So yeah, is there any tips in choosing which ones to submit?
Yeah. Honestly, whatever feels the worst to you right now, the most foreign. And there are some people that send several. I'm probably a little bit more generous than I should be. I don't hold the line very well there because I want to help. And you guys don't have access to me all the time every day in this setting. So I just try to fuck it, I'll cook through it. But usually 2 to 3 is the maximum I try to keep people to. Otherwise, these can get even longer than they already are. But if you have typically the big compound movements are what are the highest risk and require the most attention for people, because that is where you're moving the most weight potentially. And they are big compound movements, and they're called compound because there are multiple things going into that one movement. Whereas a row is a row. A raise is a raise. It's not really a full-blown compound system going on. So what program are you on?
I have just started the dumbbell foundation.
Okay, so your main movers are things like goblet squats, dumbbell deadlifts, things like that. You had a great in the way you submitted the lat pullover. Perfect example. You're like, my neck hurt the next day. I didn't work my neck out on that exercise. I'm submitting that. Why does it hurt? That's a totally valid assessment to be like, am I fucked up, or is this just a byproduct? Like, you didn't know. You submitted it, and where that would have been hard to diagnose if you'd be like, hey, I did lat pull downs, my neck hurts today. Well, what am I doing? Which a lot of people do in comment sections. And I go, I don't know. You're going to have to show me. I use this analogy a lot. A lot of people ask these questions in a comment format, and it's like trying to get me to give you a price on your car, and I don't know the make, the color, the miles, all the necessary required information to give it a price. So you did the right thing by going, oh, my neck hurts. I don't think it should hurt from this. And I was able to look right away and be like, yeah, you just got a weak little neck. It'll get better. So you already did you had the good instinct to go, I don't think this is right, but I don't know enough to be sure. So you submitted that movement. If you're unsure of how you're performing goblet squats, submit it. If you're unsure of how you're performing your deadlift, RDLs, whatever the dumbbell movement is, a common one is the dumbbell front squat. Just because they're like, what do I do with my hands? So if there's any unsureness, here's what I do for my coach. I'm also at a very different level. Even to this day, I send him my top set of every movement. Now, a lot of times I don't send some of the assistant stuff. I don't need his input on a raise. I know how to do a lateral raise or a front raise or whatever. But even though squatting is one of my favorite things to do, and I'm very technically efficient at it, I still send him the top set because I might have tension and my hips might start to shift. And then I might miss it. His second set of eyes might see it. I don't always look at the video before I send it. I blah, blah, blah. I do it. I log it. I send it. He goes, hey, yeah, you got hip shifts. How do you feel tension? I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. I text my sports massage. Hey, my hips starting to shift. I've got a lot of tension in my left hamstring. Now they know. So that's what that looks like for me. So if something stands out, doesn't feel right, there's pain, that's usually, a really good indicator to submit that. I don't think this should hurt that way. Definitely if you're getting pain on a movement, send that movement. 1000%. That is the number one most urgent reason. Otherwise, it's unsureness, confidence, execution, or if I've given you a cue in a past video and I said, hey, implement this, this, and this, let's look at it next week. And we're progressing you on something specifically. That's another reason. So being that this is your first one, right now it's going to be if there's pain in a movement or confidence level.
Cool. Perfect. That's great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else? Going once. Going twice. No. Okay. Well, that is it. So I still have about, I don't know, 60 to do or so. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get with Daniel and see what day Jen's doing hers so I don't step on her toes. And you guys get your call with her. Ideally it has to be before Thursday. I got to get them done because then I'm on a plane. Then Friday, I'm the head ref, so I'm giving the rules meeting, which will basically be me telling people to not be an idiot. This is what you're supposed to do. You've all done this before. Don't be stupid. Which is the complete opposite of my mentality as a competitor. I'm like, I'm going to be the reason there's a new rule. So I'm giving the rules meeting like I'm talking to me. And then Saturday contest, Sunday contest, and then Monday we are shooting the masterclass videos for front squat, clean, and press. So I know that's been asked about a lot, so it'll just be a very busy, and then I don't think I'm going anywhere for the rest of the month, which will be nice because I've been gone. I'll be gone 3 weeks out of this month. So, and I think my dog is going to be pissed when he realizes I'm leaving again. Hank does not like when his person leaves. He gets petty. So, with that being said, ideally we should have something for you tonight or very early tomorrow morning. I personally am going to push for Tuesday. For that. So I don't know a time. It seems like this afternoon time had a really good attendance. I'm sure it's great for you UK people because it's like evening. So we might push for that again. I feel like early on a weekday is probably not ideal because everyone's going to work. You guys might be at lunch, getting your fish and chips, Gav.
Working.
Yeah, working. Having tea time. So that being said, keep an eye out for that in tomorrow's article, which they go live, I think, like 3 a.m. PST. So yeah, that's the plan. I'm gonna push for Tuesday, but let's see what the powers that be say as far as who's doing what. And then we'll bang out the rest and do. I'm gonna do the same thing. Whenever I have to do makeups, I think it'll just be. I think it's more conducive for you guys. You guys are free to join. Unless I have an ungodly amount to do, then sorry, not sorry. I need to get them done. And without assholes like Sunil asking questions, and I'm just kidding. Sunil's great. He's a
I'll
gem.
keep my mic off next time.
Bart's an even longer question next time.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll try my best. I'll work on it.
Yeah. So that being said, I bid you guys good evening. It's Father's Day here in America. I don't know if that's an international holiday.
Yes, here too. But my children aren't here. One's gone on a festival and one's just living far away.
Wow, they love you.
Yeah, really do. Did a good job, didn't I?
So I will bid you, all the fathers in here, happy Father's Day. And call it a day.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Take care.
Thank you.
Later, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good week, guys.
Bye.